All right. While that's running, I'm going to grab some water really quickly. And my charger. Oh, crap. All right, I'm back.
For blurs and nerds and everybody to enjoy. As you can see, I am not by myself tonight. I actually have a very special guest with me, a friend of mine, fellow blurred, fellow cosplayer, fellow DC Marvel fan. I call him a library, really, because he knows a lot more than me. My boy Shado. Shado, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Big Will, man? Howdy, everybody out there. Hope y'all having a great weekend. And, yeah, I'm ready. Let's get to it.
All right. So before we do get started on Git Bit, I always give this disclaimer. Even though we try to be family friendly with the language and things of that nature, keep in mind there are video games and movies out there that may be of a graphic nature. I cannot stress this enough because I've had parents reach out to me and tell me that the nature of the videos is graphic. I cannot control that. So maybe it's time to have that grown-up conversation with your kids. That's not my call. I'm not a parent. You've been warned. So, with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and get into it. A lot of news that has actually came out. Well, actually, various news has came out this week. I'll be honest with you about that.
A lot, man.
And I kind of wanted to let Shado, because I have a rule for my guest. Before my guest, I usually let them get the first crack at what they want to talk about. So before I hop into what I got, Shado, you can go first.
All right. So one of the most recent news is actually dropped today because tomorrow is the 25th anniversary of Pokemon. Yes, the entire franchise, starting from the game, the little Game Boy game, all the way to where we are now on the Switch, the movies, TV shows, all that packed into 25 years. Not only does it make me feel old, but it makes me feel happy because it's been in my life for 25 years. So the news we got today is, of course, in November, because it's a big year for the Pokemon franchise, they're going to drop some content. Pokemon Snap was already, here. That's coming.
Yeah.
And finally, the remakes have been confirmed. Diamond and Pearl. So
there have been fights caused over those games, by the way. Diamond has caused fights. I'm just saying.
Yeah, man. No, those are honestly Gen 4 was almost among the best gens, and we're finally getting remakes for it, even though it's in the format of the Let's Go games. I'm still gonna hype. I'm still gonna play them because I've been waiting for them.
Cool.
So hey, and then also something called Pokemon Legends Arceus, which, if I read that right, is going to be an open world Pokemon game.
Now that's been now you know when you say open world, it's like the most Pokemons are usually linear games, so you don't really get to travel the way you want to travel. So this is actually going to be the actual Pokemon game that literally allows us to go anywhere we want.
I didn't get too much info on it, but I'm going to research for to do a video on my channel later. So if they go for the actual open world, like fully open world, I'm thinking that might be the best Pokemon game of all time. I'm calling it now.
I'm about to say if it's open world, it is definitely going to be exactly what Pokemon fans actually want, because let's be honest, my girlfriend's kid, he's into Pokemon, and it's kind of like, I kind of feel like Darth Vader when you realize there's an apprentice that you can have, and it's like, let me show you the ways of Cubone. That's all you need. If you want to take anybody off, just get Cubone and basically raise him. I guarantee you, for a lot, except for water types, you'll have no problem with anybody else. But if they have a Squirtle, you're screwed. I'm sorry.
Game over. Game over. No, I'm in the same boat, man. I have a 10-year-old nephew, and I call him my Padawan, my Squad 7 trainee. He's my little shield agent, man. He is a sponge, and I'm just trying to help him absorb some of the stuff that made us happy and awesome as kids. So yeah, he's taking to it. He loves Pokemon, loves DC, loves Marvel. So yeah, no, I feel you on that, bro.
Yeah, I would say that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to getting a Switch, because there are way too many games that I'm loving that are coming out on the Nintendo channel, especially Pokemon and Zelda. I can talk for 3 hours about Zelda games, and we ain't got that kind of time, so we ain't gonna do that. But
maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next time when I want to tell everybody the wonders of Zelda. It's like, only real gamers ever played Zelda. Now, if you're rage quitting, then Zelda's not for you. But speaking of things that may not for you, as everybody knows on here, we do reviews of television shows. Now usually, because every time with the CW, I have caught up with black, even though Batwoman is black. I want to call her Black Woman, but Batwoman, and I swear the two get mixed. This is not the first time I've done that. Every time I want to say Black Woman, it's like, Black Woman's a superhero? Well, all Black women are superheroes, but I meant to say Batwoman. So I know, Shado, you haven't seen Batwoman yet, so I know you haven't seen it since the new heroine, since the new person has stepped in, since the last person. However you choose to believe what happened, whether it was her, whether it was Warner Brothers, where it was directors, she's out. New person is in. Now, I've been about 5 episodes into this, and I had this episode about new shows. I have a 3-episode rule that you have to give it at least 3 episodes, and then after 3 episodes, if it's worth it, cool. If not, hey, at least you gave it that time. So I know you haven't seen it. I know you said you haven't seen Batwoman yet. So I will give my review so far because I'll be honest with you, I had some issues with Batwoman at first. Number one, I mean, she's an Elseworlds character. I mean, it's a little hard for her story to really stand alone. It's almost the same problem as Supergirl. Supergirl is not an Elseworlds character, but she's tied to Superman, which means that a lot of Superman's enemies are going to be popping up in her story. Now, I'm not saying Batwoman, and again, this is going to be the most non-biased opinion I can give, so please take this with a grain of salt. Okay. The first season of Batwoman was trash.
Yeah, it was. I can't even try to defend it. The cast we got was, for lack of a better word, okay. Mm-hmm. They leaned into a popular Batwoman storyline, in my opinion, rushed and too quickly.
Yeah.
What the first season of Batwoman should have been was a return to form, and by that I mean season 1 of Arrow.
Yeah.
Just have her, my cousin was Batman. I have this new bat suit. Let me just spend every episode or every other episode or every 2 episodes dealing with a singular threat. Just a villain of the day. Do a Power Rangers format. Do that. And then slowly build up your story and in the background, have a little bit of it pop off, and then give us season 2. If they had done that,
it would have been fire.
That would have been so much better.
But that's the thing about Batwoman that kind of annoyed me. It's like you started off on the premise that she's already established. That was what's wrong with season 1. And then Alice, I'm like, is Alice really the protagonist of this story? Or is she like the person we're like secretly supposed to be rooting for?
Yeah, look, that once they show her backstory, I was like, ooh.
Right.
Are we sure we don't want her to win?
Right. It's like, are we rooting for her? And that's the thing, like I said, but then the whole thing, like now, I'm just going to give you a little bit of synopsis. Of course, they did introduce Ryan Wilder, which also was in the comics, and the fact that she does have on the Batwoman suit. They still show this little growing pains between her and Luke Fox and other characters, which I get. You're going to have some dysfunction for the first 1 to 2 episodes. Okay, You have to build up the trust system. I'm not knocking that. But the only thing that's going to bother you about season 2, and there's no way I can base this, because the way they wrapped up Kate Kane's character is to say that she's missing. Like there was a plane crash, the body was never recovered, so it's kind of a where is Kate situation. And I felt like first off, the person that played Kate Kane is never coming back. And I'm not saying that you had to kill off the character, but send them off. I mean, it's not like you're going to expect them to come back and be like, I've returned. It's not the Lion King. I'm sorry. You're not expecting Simba to come back to Pride Rock when Scar screwed everything up. That's all I'm saying. So
with that dark side. Let the universe howl in despair, for I have returned.
Right. I'm like,
that ain't gonna happen.
I'm like, you ain't gonna sit there and get a Lex Luthor. Everything's like, it's better now because I'm here. You're not going to get that intro. So, and like I said, it's fair warning. And again, this is non-biased because I still want you to, get your take on it. And, when you watch it, I still want to get your take on it. But honestly, for me, I still watch Batwoman because I think there's still hope for it. However, now we're into 5. Now, once you get to a 5th episode, of something, of a series, it's kind of a make or break moment. It's almost like WandaVision. Everybody saw the first 2 episodes of WandaVision was like,
oh my god, we don't like it.
Yes. Everybody was like, what is this? Where's the action? Why don't you do your chaos? Why don't you do your finger thingy? People were sitting there for the longest time for the first 2 episodes of WandaVision and were complaining about the lack of action. And it's funny that
was so annoying.
Yeah, and it's funny that the directors were like, calm down. We got you covered. It's
the first 2 episodes. Chill.
Right, and that's what makes me think, because we're so used to Marvel being fast-paced and being straight out the box and just really going from there is what we're used to. So WandaVision had that premise that they were building up, and I know I'm not trying to go into WandaVision right now, but I'm just trying to make a point.
I know.
I'm trying to make a point that with Batwoman, it's like episode 6 has to give me something, because episode 5 made me feel like I'm watching the first season all over again, and that's not good.
Oh no!
So that's just my opinion. My opinion.
Okay.
I still want you.
I'm gonna check it out
to watch it. But in my opinion, because I know sometimes my opinion is not a popular opinion, I've accepted that in life. That I want Batwoman to succeed so badly, just because of and people have accused me of this. Yes, because there's a black female lead as the heroine of the story. I want her to succeed. Yes. It's just my thing is I want them to succeed. That's just me. But like I said, for episode 5, it just felt like a repeat. I know, Shado, you tell me once you get a chance. I still want you to come back to this when we do another podcast and let me know what you think about Batwoman. But for episode 5, for everybody that's watched it, I'm sorry. You guys tell me what you think. If you've seen it, I just think that I've seen the same thing. It's almost like Black Lightning, which unfortunately I have to go through that too. Chad, Zelda is trash. Well, Chad, you're 7. You're 7, Chad. At this point, Fortnite rules your life, and I can beat you at Fortnite, just so you know. Joe, what is this? You're podcasting now?
I think that's directed at me. Yeah, Joe, this is a guest spot, and then I'm working on my podcast, Freaks and Geeks Plug.
Yeah, go ahead, plug it.
So this is just a start. But shout out to the homie Joe. If you really want to know some deep lore about DC and Marvel, and especially Power Rangers and Sentai, you think I'm a library? That man's a whole planet worth of knowledge.
Oh, we need to get Joe on one day.
Yeah, man.
Don't tell me you know a library, because I will haunt him and be like, Joe? Could you join us? Zoom is a wonderful tool, Joe. We can have you.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no problem. Plug it. I love plugging new podcasts, so trust me on that.
No, I'm actually thankful. Thank you to Will for inviting me on this series, because like I said, 2020 and 2021 has allowed me to get a lot better in my production value. I mean, I have lights, and this shot's just looking good on my what is this? My PC webcam.
Yeah.
PC webcams normally ain't nothing.
Pretty much.
But if you know how to
get the angles and stuff, you come out just looking like an IG model. I get it.
Yeah, so I'm grateful to have the time to get improved in that. So now the next step was, okay, YouTube channel is looking good. Photography is looking pretty good. Let's get our podcast and stuff going so we can get up there like Big Will and get bit. So Freaks and Geeks is coming soon. We haven't set a date yet, but me and my partner Crystal Starr, we're working on it. So just look forward to that. So yeah, I'm excited, man.
Cool.
This is hyping me up.
Oh, you let me know when I have you and your partner on there. I will definitely love that. And Joe, I'm down for comic chats anytime. Oh, you should never said that to me.
Look, you want to talk for hours? Hours? You call Joe.
Okay, I'm gonna keep that in mind next time. I'm gonna keep that in mind next time I set the next one up.
If we set a day, and either on your podcast or on my podcast, and it was just all of us doing a little round table on comics and all that stuff, we could do it for a good amount of hours.
Okay.
And just have fun with it. So yeah, that's definitely something that I would love to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely plan for the next one. But I do have to get through Black Lightning because again, it's similar to Batwoman. It's similar. I keep on wanting to say Black Woman. That is never gonna go
Black
away.
Lightning, Black Woman. I mean,
and Black Lightning. Have you? Again, I have to give this warning. Have you seen any of season 4?
I have not.
Okay.
I am behind on a lot because of the time I have been spending on work and stuff. So
gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna try to give a non-biased opinion of that. I love Black Lightning. I love the concept, but I said the same thing on my Git Bit podcast last year that I said I was on this year. That in order for season 4, because they're marking it as the final season,
unfortunately,
I believe they missed out on bringing Static Shock to the CW. I fully believe that because I'm sorry. I understand that they tried to make the show as realistic as possible to modern times. I get that. I understand that. with the Markovian War. You're trying to relate that to social issues that we're dealing with in our country. I get all of that. But somewhere in the middle of all this, you forgot to do a decent story.
Ding!
Because here's my thing.
You said the magic word.
Like, that's
story.
Because to me, that's always been Black Lightning's problem. It's like, how is it? And everybody like, oh, that's Scooter from Living Single. Yes, but let's give the man a shot, okay? Let's give Scooter a shot. I said the same thing when I saw him. That's Scooter from Living Single. Okay, let's give the man a shot. Because I love the guy who plays Tobias Whale. I cannot think of his name to save my life. Vaughn, you're watching this. You know the person's name. Please help me out. The guy who plays Tobias Whale, to me, is like Robin Lord Taylor, who played the Penguin on Gotham. He was the only reason
best part
I watched
about that show.
Right. So it's like it has that symptom. I'm like, how does a single character out of an entire series make me want to watch it? Was Tobias Whale, and I like the fact that
Crondon is his name.
Thank you. And this season, like I said, you haven't seen it, so I'm just gonna give a brief synopsis. It's still the fall from the Markovian War. Of course, spoiler alert: the chief of police has died.
I figured it was him. So it was either two people. Yeah, and it was going to be his wife or the police or his best friend. So one of the two, I figured they would go for the lesser of two heartbreaks, I guess. So,
his wife. I can't. I'm gonna try to be as nice as I can about that character because first off, the person who plays Lynn is a phenomenal actress.
Oh yeah, love her.
But the role of how she went from being against Black Lightning to being also servicing metas. Then becoming a drug addict with Gravediggers DNA, and now in this season she's still experimenting with Gravediggers DNA, and of course she has the mask from the comics because of her ability to mimic people by just using her voice. So,
oh man.
And then on top of that, Jefferson Pierce is not wearing a suit, which of course is a little bit iffy. They try to give him a weakness because Black Lightning can still use his powers with or without the suit. Mm-hmm. But I guess the whole idea of making him more human, that the suit regulates his powers so it doesn't affect his body chemistry. Okay, a little bit of a stretch. Fine. Jennifer, who's known as Lightning, you're going to feel really bad when you watch this first episode.
Oh my god.
She's basically on a superhuman high. Like she will literally be in the clouds. I cannot make this up. She will be in the clouds, absorbing energy around her and just riding it out like a drug addict.
Oh my god. So you're saying the only stable one is Thunder,
who is getting married.
Yay!
So she is getting married. So Anissa is moving forward. But the story is the story is all over the place to the point to where I'm just like, and again, for all those that have watched Black Lightning, feel free to comment as well. I still want to know you guys' opinion. But now we're at episode 3, which is, they call it the Book of Reconciliation, which again, the showrunners, I don't get that every episode has to be the book of something. When again, it's like the books don't lead anything. Like, I'm rooting more for Tobias Whale now than I am for Black Lightning.
Oh no, that's not good.
It's not good. And also the messed up part is Tobias Whale has finally figured out what's in the suitcase that makes him impermeable to lightning. So he's basically invulnerable now.
Oh boy.
Which is interesting because now of course, him knowing the secret of Black Lightning and his family, he went to Jefferson Pierce the same way Kingpin went to Charlie Cox and Daredevil.
Oh, okay. Like, that's gonna be good to watch.
Like, he went up to him straight up, like, I know who you are. Leave me be, and I'll leave you be. And I mean, he just flat out, he's like, I can destroy you right now, but where's the fun in that? I was like, did this dude just go Joker from the Dark Knight? He just sat there and was so calm about it. He's like, look, I'm a businessman. I can't be out here tossing in the streets with you. And I'm just thinking to myself, I love that part. It's like, how does
that's the best part of any villain who does that.
Yes, it's like a sophisticated villain that still wants to psychologically mess with you, but at the same time, it's like it's I love that part about Black Lightning, and that's why I sit there and say there's still hope for another season. Although they said it was a final season, but the hope of it to me is that introduce Static Shock. If you introduce Static Shock and let him go with his storyline, because we already know CW is going to try to do something. Because Static Shock is now available on HBO Max. You can watch on HBO Max right now.
I'm actually glad you brought that up. Mm-hmm. That has been my, I guess, issue with why they haven't brought him on Black Lightning. Is because they're able to show him on HBO Max, and we also know that the Titan series is on. There's a possibility that if he doesn't show up on Black Lightning, if it ends, it ends. Mm-hmm. He can show up on Titans to, of course, add even more diversity to what they have. So that's why I haven't been too, I guess, bent up about him appearing. It would be nice. It would be very nice to see, let me say this. Mm-hmm. If there was a story, and, everything was going well by the story, Jefferson's doing okay as a hero. He's trained his daughters up to where they can handle themselves, and leading into the next season, next half of the season, not Bang Baby. What's the thing? A green light kid. Starts showing metal lightning powers. He's like, oh, he's like a younger me. Let me help him mentor him. If they had even the smallest inkling of setting something like that up. Mm-hmm. Then I would have been a bit more excited for it. But like you said earlier, there has been no fully consistent story. It's just been story based around issues, around resolving the issues. And don't get me wrong, early Black Lightning, the first season, which I say honestly is the best season. I'll give season 2 a little bit, but it didn't. It leaned heavy into dealing with some issues, of course, being a black hero, that's one thing, mm-hmm. And some of the black issues that we've been having to deal with, they took that and put it and made it relevant in that story. But to continuously do it to a point where it's actually become dry.
Yeah, it's mundane. You're basically
it's mundane story. Now. You are a comic book story first.
You could even
My mom actually watched Black Lightning with me for the first season, and she actually enjoyed it. But when she started watching season 2, and she said they got more cartoony, which I was like, okay, I'm enjoying it because that's a comic book. That's what it's supposed to be,
right?
But she kind of fell off. So season 2, when it got a little bit more into comic books and more powered up people and just stuff like that, I was cool. I was good, but there was just no direction for it.
Exactly. I mean,
there's no direction for it.
It's like the only high spot to me was Wayne Brady playing Gravedigger.
Oh man,
you would think Wayne Brady of whose line is it anyway? Let's make a deal.
Right.
Wayne Brady
make you laugh all day,
and then we forgot
he was a man.
And then we forgot how hard he went Chappelle's show. Even in a skit, we forgot how hard he went. So you see him now as Gravedigger. It's like Wayne Brady, and then you look at it, it's like oh, never mind. Wayne Brady got it.
That's actually where I'm at. When his first appearance, when they're storming Macovia or whatever.
Yeah.
That fight between him and Black Lightning, that was the last thing I saw. So I'm still behind on like mid-season 3, but that was the last thing I saw. So I'm actually gonna hopefully catch that soon, just so I can see more of him as that character, because it was fun.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, like, the reason I was so excited for Black Lightning, is the same reason why, and this is going to be a super hot topic for anybody who actually watches it, I was excited for the Disney show Ultimate Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Yes, y'all canceled Spectacular Spider-Man, and that broke my heart. But with Ultimate, you were able to introduce so many other characters that have not been introduced in the animated Marvel universe, like White Tiger, mm-hmm. A younger Power Man, a younger Iron Fist, Nova, people who haven't seen any of these characters in any media yet.
Yeah, we're still waiting for Nova in Phase 4, but go ahead.
Yeah. Black Lightning was doing that for the characters in that story, We got, like I said, we got a phenomenal Tobias Well. Some of the other characters that have appeared that have been tied into Black Lightning's lore. I mean, look at Painkiller.
Oh, yeah.
Painkiller, I mean, he's supposed to get his own little show and everything, and how they set that up. Honestly, the story for Painkiller was more interesting to me than what was going on with Black Lightning.
But that's why I say I'm slightly concerned. The only reason I say about Painkiller because of how they did Black Lightning and then the Painkiller spinoff story, I'm like, it's still the same showrunner. My worry level is usually this, but we've reached this, and it's like the same showrunner is now going to be behind Painkiller, who was doing Black Lightning, and Black Lightning's having its final season.
It's not an inspiring tale. It's one that we can hope goes well, but the thing about you have to realize is the Arrowverse, despite how much we love it, it's kind of dying.
It is, but again, not to go because like I said, I could go into the Flash or anything else, because my buddy Thomas isn't here, and it's fun because he will watch the Flash whether it's good or bad, and I've sat there, and I have sat there and said that after season 2. Season 3 was terrible, and I said the only way it could be good, and Thomas hates me for this. I said the only way out of Flash season 2 could be good again after Flash for the next season, which actually will be next month, March. I said in order for the Flash to get back to what made season 1 and season 2 great again, Joe has to die. Thomas had the same reaction. And I said, I'm not trying to kill off the black dude. I said, I am not trying to kill off the black dude on purpose. I'm not trying to kill off the black dude on purpose, but let's be honest, Barry's center, if you think about it, his moral center has always been Joe. Joe has always straightened him out because that's his father figure. Of course, his father is still around in the show, but...
New Universe. I forgot about that.
Right, he's still around. But here's the thing: it's just the show has gotten so mundane because first off, Cisco's no longer Vibe or tries not to be.
Yeah,
I like the idea of Killer Frost and Caitlin kind of leading this 2 bodies in 1 life kind of thing. But you've gotten away from the core villains. It's like Reverse Flash. You pretty much 86 Reverse Flash. Yeah. You've made Godspeed more of a figurehead than a runaway,
a throwaway.
Yeah, you made him. Godspeed and then Zoom. How do you take such a prolific character in Flash's story and you water him down? And I also said this again. And I said if it's not Joe, because I remember when Thomas had that same reaction that I told you that Joe had to die. I said, okay, man. If not Joe. Then his daughter has to go. Because I sit there and say, don't get me wrong, I love her as an actress. She does amazing work. But the whole thing, she's kind of like the wife that tied Gohan down in Dragon Ball. That's about the best I could put that. Because Gohan, in my opinion, in Dragon Ball, should have been as great as his father. But let's be honest, Videl and his mom.
Well, more so Chi-Chi than Videl.
Yeah.
Videl was a fighter for real, but Chi-Chi, once she got that housewife syndrome, that was it. So, I'm like, girl, you come from money. Why you want more money? Chill. Let your man fight.
Yeah, so it's just like in Flash, I just feel like this whole mirror universe and Mirror Master, and I'm like,
yeah.
You took again, which could have been a great story, and you milked it for 14, 15 episodes. And then your next season is going to be all about the mirror side, the mirror universe. Which, again, you kind of 86 that when you went against Mirror Master. So...
Yeah, and I get that they're trying to go with a new version of Mirror Master, but let's be honest. And I don't know if you have caught up from that, but the only reason that season 6 was as great as it was because of the lead up to Crisis.
Yeah.
Now the stuff with Bloodwork was actually pretty good, and how they played that off.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with the Speed Force and his mother, his mother's figure in the Speed Force and everything, how they played that off and how they tied into him going forward into Crisis. That lead up was amazing, and then of course we got Crisis. It was great. Notice I said great, not amazing. I said great.
I'm holding judge. I'm holding that on judge for another podcast. Okay.
Not amazing. It could have been much, much better. But what we got, I still enjoyed. Mm-hmm. Everything after Crisis.
The whole Earth Prime, and everybody on one planet.
I got what I wanted. I wanted everyone on one planet. Mm-hmm. But that should have been, and I know they have contracts, and I know they have all the other shows and everything they want to keep pushing out. That should have been the end of every single show that's on the CW Arrowverse right now. And make it one show, Justice League. Or even call it Justice Society. Do a thing like that. All they had to do was take the format from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited and focus on a core amount of characters that your actors are getting paid for, and then do some guest roles every other 2 episodes for big crossovers like that. Mm-hmm. I believe an Arrowverse Justice League show could work if they took that type of format. But
they put that in the Stargirl, and we all know how that turned out.
I haven't finished that either.
I'm sorry. I'm just full of bad news as far as the DC side goes right now.
I was enjoying it. I fell off a little bit. I have to catch up back on it, but I heard some things about that too. I'm like, come on, y'all had y'all could have done.
I'll tell you what. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna have another podcast where it's all DC because I don't want to leave this as just bad. I don't feel like I should be giving bad news about everything. So let me go to something. Let me go to something good. Let me go to something good. Let me talk about. Have you seen the Superman and Lois?
Yes. Yes.
Now,
loved it.
That's me. To me, it's like when I saw Superman and Lois, I'm like, everything about it. That first episode, and again, this is spoilers for all those that haven't seen it, so you've been warned. The first episode was great. I love the fact that you literally told an origin story without telling an origin story.
Yes, they did it so well.
That was beautiful. How it just went from just we all know the Superman origin story, no matter how many 6 ways you tell it. But the fact that they covered it in just a few scenes and slipped it right on in with the whole premise of Superman, becoming a father, having John and Jordan as the twin boys. Mm-hmm. I love that fact. And like I said, the whole dynamic between his sons, because you kept on expecting them. One of them is either going to show powers or one of them is not going to show powers. Yep. And of course, the whole sibling rivalry thing from there. Someone said this on another podcast. I can't take credit for it. Someone said that the first episode was like if Smallville grew up and had kids.
They right. I definitely had super Smallville vibes with this series. First of all, it looks beautiful.
It does.
The cinematography for it, the way it's shot, the way the colors still contrast, but they're not too bright like Supergirl, but they're not too dark like Man of Steel. It's like that mix in between.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous series, and I'm excited to see what they do for Tyler as Superman. Mm-hmm. The suit, love it. Lois plays; she does well. It caught me in, and I laughed when they first show in the montage. When they first show Superman, he does the classic pose from 1939's pose on the first comic, and he walks up to the kid. He's like, "Oh yeah, nice suit. Yeah, thanks, my mom made it." Just the joy.
That was cool to see that.
Just see that the joy in his voice.
Yeah, to see that line from Action Comics. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Man, that was such an epic moment, and it was played for laughs, but it was a heartwarming moment because. That's his mama. His mama made him super suit. He happy.
And I like the fact of what they went with Superman. It was really a blend of Kingdom Come. Because I kind of was like, wait a second. It's a blend of Kingdom Come, a little bit of 52. And I think they did that purposely. Because I was looking at the S and the whole thing. I was like, that looks like a mixture of different Supermans. But you are right. I did kind of get Man of Steel vibes, if it was done right. Yes, I am not a Snyder fan for anybody that's wondering. I will still turn around and give Man of Steel credit, it was a borderline decent Superman movie. Henry Cavill should play Superman until he doesn't want to play it no more. Am I looking forward to the Justice League cut? Yes. I said so many times this podcast. I'm looking forward to it on March 18th. I was going to say 14th. So on March 18th, I will watch on HBO Max and give my opinion of it. So for all those Snyder fans,
was
because I'll be
the
arguing
decent
them all the time.
Superman movie and the best Dragon Ball Z movie we're ever going to get. That's neither here nor there. Because
and I'm sorry, not to cut you off, Joe. You are right. The car is also from the comic. The Ford truck that he raised up. Yeah, Joe pointed that out too. That's also from the comic. You're exactly right.
Yeah, no. So just seeing that come to life was great. We've seen it before in Superman Returns, but this just felt more iconic.
Yeah, it's almost it's a certain, like, I liked about it. It's just it just felt organic. Like, you can see the whole struggle with him. He's no longer worried about being Superman. He's not in that emo identity crisis thing. He's like, okay, I'm stuck between being a father but being Superman. And it's interesting that, of course, in that dynamic, that the entire Lois and her father being a general know who Superman is, and it's so. And
that's usually a bad sign because General Lane ain't normally too fond of Superman in some adaptations. So to see them kind of have like a working relationship,
it's interesting, and yet it's very uncomfortable. Like, he'll sit there and walk up, like, it's like the whole walk away, like, so you told Lois you're gonna be late? It's like,
I was like, oh, he knows? Oh, okay, cool. So I figured it makes a bit of sense with, them getting married and starting a family and everything, and with him being in the role he is as the protector of Earth, having a nice little contact liaison that just happens to be part of your family.
Yeah.
Okay, it makes sense. So, but that ending though.
Oh, that's what we'll get to in a minute. Let me get. Hang on before you say that. Joe, it feels like the Tomasi run, which is the Rebirth era, but when you get you
agree, especially with the suit.
Yeah, I'll give Joe right. Yeah, Joe, you exactly right on that. I'll give you that. But yes, I will go. Yeah, go ahead and run with the end because the end is what got me. But you go ahead and say it, man.
All right, so as Will mentioned earlier, I am a cosplayer, and one of my cosplays is Lex Luthor, and I am the member of the Nashville Legion of Doom, plugging that as well. But to see the possibility of a African American,
you say black,
a black Lex Luthor, or just Luthor,
right?
Because, I was already that. I was already doing that. I was basing mine off of the Arrowverse, John Cryer, because honestly, his run
was still good. I liked it.
It was great.
Story. Yeah, I liked it.
It was great. And he had a goatee, so I could do my goatee, and it was fine.
Yeah.
But now we actually have a black Lex Luthor, which Joe agrees with me. I'm sure if he said in the comments or not, but we both agree that it's a possibility that this is the Earth 3 Alexander Luthor.
Yeah.
And that they may possibly, it's just speculation, but they may be possibly setting up for an Infinite Crisis type storyline.
Yeah, because I think he was from what? From Earth
3. He was the son of the Lex Luthor in that universe, who was the Earth's greatest hero, whereas all the supers were the Crime Syndicate.
Right.
And in Crisis on Infinite Earths, he was a baby. He got super grown and everything. He helped them out, and then Infinite Crisis came, and that was a whole different bag of worms. But you go ahead.
Joe is funny. Anime series was black too. Let's not kid ourselves.
You know what?
You ain't wrong though.
And shout out to Clancy Brown for making Lex Luthor, animated series Lex Luthor, Justice League's Lex Luthor, the blackest Lex we've ever had.
Yeah.
And that's also who I base mine on. See, I do mine as a mixture of like that calm and collected Young Justice Lex, that calm and collected, John Cryer Lex with a bit of, I'll kill you if I have to.
Right.
Lex from because let's be real. He started out as calm and collected, like, my hands are not they're clean. I have no idea what you're talking about, Superman.
Right.
To see his journey from that to standing right in front of Darkseid at the end of Justice League Unlimited, like, oh, I have the one thing you want.
Right.
Power. What's up? I have to get my business suit for this. Like, his whole journey. This is great. So, yeah, Joe's right.
But that's what I love about Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor didn't care whether otherworldly or subhuman or whatnot. I have to give Lex Luthor, if there was a villain, like, he's the number 2 to me in the DC universe. Joker will always be number 1. There is just Joker is widely known. Lex Luthor is a solid number 2 just because of the fact he will walk up to anybody and just not care. Although I will say the one thing about Superman and Lois when they showed at the end, I was looking at the suit and I was like, oh, Doom, the Doom people will be calling
That's what Joe said. That's what Joe said. He got heavy Doom vibes. I agree.
Because I kept looking at the suit, I was like, it looks a little too close. I mean, it's either Microsoft is going to come calling or the ID group is going to come calling. And Joe, you tell me which group is going to call first, because someone's going to be, hey, that
looks familiar.
He said, just because you made it gray and put runes on it doesn't mean it ain't our suit. I'm just saying.
So we also we also speculate that because of the Kryptonian ruins, there might be a possibility of the Eradicator.
Yes.
Appearing. Which I definitely agree with that as well. But I mean, first episode out, we got a great look at Superman as not only the hero but as a family man, and nice little bits of speculation and stuff set up that going forward, I believe is going to be honest. Now, we're not getting a crossover this year because of that thing. I don't even want to say his name, man. Yeah. It makes me so angry just saying it. But that thing that's happening, we're not getting a crossover. And honestly, we need a break. We got Crisis. Stuff's changed now. Let us live in this world. I mean, do like little small crossovers, like maybe have Supergirl appear.
But the problem is going to be that, though, right? Legends of Tomorrow is going to come up along with Supergirl and Stargirl, and CW loves to do an all important crossover. And you're right, we are crossover fatigued because the first time you did it, okay. Second time you did it,
getting better.
And then you went to Crisis on Infinite Earths, and it's just like,
well, honestly, the best crossover we got was Crisis on Earth X.
Yeah,
I will say, like, just in terms of the storyline, and I mean, Crisis on Infinite Earths was great, and it was set up somewhat in different stuff that led into it. But as far as a straightforward crossover, I say Earth X is the better one, and then I have Crisis under it, and then Heroes versus Aliens, and then all the other ones fall somewhere in between. I'll probably have a top 10 list coming out on my channel soon, so check that out. But it's time for a break.
It is. I agree.
Go back to the smaller crossovers, the inter-show, not just full. Like, I would like to see Flash crossover with Black Lightning. I would like to see Flash crossover with Superman. I
just want to see Black Lightning crossover with everybody except not having a cameo, but go ahead.
Yeah, because I like the interaction they had in Crisis when Black Lightning met Flash. Like that scene gives me chills. They talk about their dads.
Yeah. And
then they shake hands, and I'm Barry. Oh yeah, no, I'm Jefferson. Hey, what's up? And I'm like, damn, that's I like that. Can I have more of that, please?
But then you also had the Flash, Grant Austin meet the Flash as Ezra Miller, and I'm so mad. Not to take away from Superman and Lois, but I am so mad that how do you have a scene like that where they both look at each other? It's like, that suit's cool. Hey, your suit's cool. Hey, you're Barry. I'm Barry. Are you? It's like they're literally pointing out, like, where are you from? I'm from here. What? He said, I'm also from here. It's like, you had an iconic moment and you didn't capitalize on it. That's the thing that always ticked me off. And then, of course,
money,
budgets.
If I feel like if DC went the full Marvel route and made their own movie studio, had their own say in it, let their creators create within some guidelines.
Not if Warner Bros. Has anything to say about it.
Yeah, and that's what pisses me off because that's why the DCEU can't be great.
Right.
It can't be great. Do you know that we just got information about what Batman vs Superman would have been?
Yeah. If they
Metallo is supposed to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Lex is supposed to be more of a Lex, not a Riddler. They cut it out because they wanted to start hyping up for Justice League.
Yeah,
we didn't need that. We were already hyped.
We also didn't need what's his face playing Lex Luthor either, because I'm just like, was not what's the guy who played Lex Luthor on Smallville? Michael
Rosenbaum.
Was he not available?
It would have been nice. A lot of people wanted Bryan Cranston to do it. I get what they were going for like a younger Lex. But he didn't have to be so damn squirrely.
The thing that kills me,
I think if they gave better direction, he would have been a better Lex.
If you took Bryan Cranston's character from Breaking Bad, he is basically Lex Luthor, and I would have loved that. just him to go to Superman. Say my name. It's like I would love to see that Heisenberg character.
Luthor, you're goddamn right. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. No,
I would love that, and especially it's just like William Dafoe playing the Joker. The man has the literal face and demeanor for it.
You're right. You're right. I mean, look at what we got in the first Sam Raimi trailer, man. Mm-hmm. And I honestly think for the chaoticness of the character of the Joker, he will be a perfect role.
Yeah, especially
he would be perfect for that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He was great as Norman Osborn. Do not get me wrong. In the Sam Raimi version of Spider-Man, William Dafoe was a great Norman Osborn. I love the fact the whole scowl, the whole body language. He was Norman. Now he wasn't the Norman from the new Marvel with the waves. Y'all might let that dream go. You ain't never gonna find a white that man had perfect waves for a white dude in a comic. Let's just let that go right off the bat. Oh, God. You ain't never gonna find a dude that's gonna be able to pull that off in a movie. Let's just be honest. But that's why I sit there and say there were so many hits and misses. And like I said, with DC, they should have done a cinematic universe. You did not have to have standalone movies, and that's always been DC's crutch. Do not get me wrong. Shazam was great. Aquaman was great because I love how director James Wan he took Aquaman and he made it so relative to water and made it so relative to his Hawaiian heritage and made it relative as far as ocean.
And he made it fun.
Yeah, and Black Manta. He made Black Manta look badass. I know I say this about the language of my boy to say it. He made Black Manta, and I cannot remember that guy's name that played Black Manta. Saved my life right now. Joe, I'm gonna need your help on this one. He played Black Manta to a T, and I love the fact of Aquaman in some ways feels like
this is a big one. Yaha Abdul Mateen II.
Yeah, him. But I loved him playing Black Manta and the fact that he kind of birthed Black Manta in a way. So it's like you create a villain in the middle of a story. And Ocean Master, well, let's be honest, the guy, I can never think of that guy's name. He always plays a douche in every movie he's always in. But again, he played a great Ocean Master. I had no issue with that. Now, of course, with Mira, I'm like, didn't she try to go for Lance? I said, okay, you did the same thing in Black Panther. Because
then Aquaman was basically the water Black Panther.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Black Panther was basically the African Lion King, more or less.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's if you look at the parallels, man, if you look at them close together, you get a lot of similarities.
Oh, you're right. But speaking of Marvel, I do have to keep on going with this. Like I said, we'll be all day on the reason for DC.
I love this. Just be able to sit down and talk about it,
And trust me,
we were all in the same room.
Yeah, that's what I want to do with you and Joe. Like I said, with this Zoom thing I got, I decided to just go ahead and get the business thing for it. That's my plan in the future, is to bring on other like-minded visuals like yourself. And like I said, I love having people that have a lot more knowledge about fandoms than I do, especially with cosplaying, because I know I know a good friend of mine, Thomas, who's probably working out in the gym right now, because otherwise he'd be here.
That's what he does.
And you and like several other people I know, especially black cosplayers, you guys literally and figuratively come up with some amazing concepts. It's not always about the could you do the case example. Like you cosplay as Cyborg. So, it's like, for me, it's like I love showing those just because you and me talked about this. It's just like you want to get. I mean, there's no disrespect to known cosplayers. No disrespect to Ivy Doom Kitty and Yaya Han and Anna Mia. I mean, very, very nice, easy to talk to cosplay people. I've talked to them many times at cons, but a lot of the local people, as well as people that we know that cosplay, don't really get the same kind of love. So I always want to bring that to that forefront. Like, yes, we cosplay just as well, because I'm going to tell this story and then we're going to get into the Spider-Man trailer, because I'm going to embarrass Thomas, because I told Thomas if he wasn't here, I'm going to embarrass him. And I'm going to tell this story. So do you know Kalita Smith from Z Nation?
Yeah.
Okay. So me and Thomas, this was about 4 or 5 years ago, we went to Lexington Comic-Con. Kalita Smith was one of the cosplayers. Thomas at the time was cosplaying his Captain American Spider, which he had on a. For all those that don't know, I'm gonna give you a visual about what Thomas. Thomas is basically me, except in shape. So, and he has hair, but his is more filled out, grizzly. This is not like the bottom of a dust mop that I have at the bottom of my face. So to give you an idea, that's Thomas. Thomas is pretty much an in-shape dude. He works out. He's very proud about that. So he's like I said, cosplaying as Captain American Spider. He has the full-on Captain America shield. He has on camo pants, and he has on this skin tight Captain America tie-dye shirt. But he has Spider-Man. So he actually found someone that actually did the Spider-Man Captain America Spider logo together, and he's wearing this, right?
Yeah.
We go past Kalita Smith's booth. I immediately recognized who she was because of many shows, the Bernie Mac show, Z Nation, and things of that nature. Yeah. So she is, of course, a very attractive woman. So we're walking past. I noticed her. She smiled and waved at me. I waved back. I was like, it's Kalita Smith, it's Kalita Smith. I was sitting there, not trying to mark out. Thomas is unaware of when people are looking at him. So he is just steady more walking, right? Kalita Smith tries to get Thomas's attention. She's like, hey, she's waiting. I'm looking and I'm like, is she trying to get Thomas's attention? So before I can sit there and just, smack Thomas on his shoulder, she leans over like a showgirl. Hey, Captain! Why did this fool turn around? This fool turned around and sees a beautiful black goddess staring at him talking about, hey, Captain. He walks over like, hey. It's like... And
no,
I'm just sitting there looking at him like,
no.
I felt like Bucky. I felt like Bucky in the Winter Soldier. I felt like it's finally happened. I'm the other guy now. And so, but of course, she sat there and complimented Thomas on his cosplay. Said that. And she sat there and said, I want to take a picture. Like, if you go on Thomas's Facebook and my Facebook, there's a picture of them two taking a picture together. And she wanted to do that just because, she didn't see a lot of black cosplayers. And so since she saw Thomas, she kind of wanted to highlight that on her page and said, would you mind if I put this on my Facebook page? Thomas is like, sure. I'm sitting there looking at this fool like, I'm not hating. I'm not hating. But I felt it here, like... It's almost like if I was literally if the Lantern Corps had a ring for jealousy, I am fairly certain my eyes would be of that color and the ring would pop up at that moment. And I know Thomas is there and telling me all the time I should cosplay. He's still trying to get me to do Cole from Gears of War because of my hair and my build. He says no one's ever. He's never seen someone do a Gears of War cosplay as Cole, and also he said it in front of Ivy Doom Kitty in a crowded room. I was half asleep, so we went to this one because Ivy Doom Kitty does these cosplay meetups, right? And they said she does how to cosplay 101. So Thomas, I admit it was a long day. We were walking. I was sleepy, and we're sitting up like in the second to front row, and I'm on the edge. So that's the worst place to be in when you're half asleep. Thomas is right beside me, and he loves Ivy Doom Kitty. He loves. I mean, we all love Ivy Doom Kitty, but he loves Ivy Doom Kitty, right? So he turns around, and I'm half asleep. So I'm just like, I'm this. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to stay awake. I'm trying not to be disrespectful because I know I snore in my sleep. So the last thing anybody wants to hear in a cosplay is, you don't want to hear that. So I'm trying my hardest to stay awake. Thomas looks at me, and I feel the wheels in his head turning, and says, I remember what you did about Cleta Smith. So when she was taking questions, right, she raises his hand. She goes, yes. And he goes, okay, so my friend over here has never cosplayed before. Again, this is me not paying attention as I'm nodding off. She finally sits there and he finally says, could you, I think he would make a great Cole for Gears of War. Ivy Doom Kitty's eyes go big and go, yes.
Oh, man.
Now, why at that moment did I wake up and like, what? Huh? And I feel everybody's eyes on me. Everybody's eyes are on me. Thomas is smiling a mile wide. Ivy Doom Kitty's smiling a mile wide. I'm like, why do I feel like this has been a sacrifice and I'm the one that got picked? And then Thomas says, see, even Ivy Doom Kitty says you should make a good Cole. I was like, oh, dear God. But
it's so hilarious.
But yeah, Joe, that'll be orange. Oh, there really is a jealousy ring in the green. There's a jealousy ring for orange?
It's more greed, but yeah, greed and jealousy, yeah.
Okay, I learned something new. I didn't know that.
The lantern of avarice, the orange lantern. So,
okay,
yeah.
So that'd be orange. Thank you, Joe. I definitely gotta have you on here next. I gotta let you know next time I do this. But anyway, like I said, I don't want to get too far in stories, so I could be telling stories for the next 2 hours.
Good.
So like I said, Marvel did release because Tom Holland has always been similar to Mark Ruffalo.
Can't keep his mouth shut.
So they decided to have fun with the new Spider-Man trailer, as far as telling the name of it.
It was.
Alright,
It was good.
Gave us a fake name again.
Not shocked.
Yeah. I just don't understand why he keeps doing this.
You don't understand?
Really?
I feel like it's pretty obvious to just spoil things.
I don't spoil things.
Your thing
Name me one thing that I've actually spoiled.
The last movie title, I think.
Yeah.
And that was Spider-Man No Way Home. I wanted to show the trailer for it just because, again, this is Tom Holland. For a lot of people that don't know, he's always similar to Mark Ruffalo. We mention those two names because Mark Ruffalo in the past has let some things slip that we don't know were intentional or the fact that they told him to make sure that he says it. And Tom Holland seems to be in the same position because they always sit there and said, and this was a running gag that they decided to use for Spider-Man No Way Home, was to be like, so do we get a title? They don't tell me anything. He's like, oh, because you spoil everything. I don't spoil everything. Yes, you do. And of course, as they're walking past, you see, and someone did point this out on a fan trailer, on a fan web base, exactly how the hexagons were all around Spider-Man No Way Home and how different colors. And there are so many theories right now about how Spider-Man No Way Home is going to be. So I know, Chad, you got some. Joe, I know you're watching this. So what theories do you both have?
So shout out to New Rockstars, their awesome YouTube channel. The hexagons that we see on the board are actually like part of like chemicals, stuff like that. So, cause like, I mean, we're all about hexagons right now because we want to, talk about WandaVision. Like, oh my God, hexagons are everywhere. We think, oh, we see them now. They're part of this. But hexagons are actually a really prevalent shape in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The jump windows from outer space, they're hexagonal.
Right.
The hexagonal panel of the shield from going into Wakanda, that's hexagonal. So hexagons has always been there. They just become more prevalent with WandaVision. So that's not the big thing. The big thing to me is the name. No Way Home.
Right.
It implies so much. Because okay, is he not able to go home because his identity got revealed?
Also, spoiler if you haven't seen Far From Home.
Oh yeah,
if you haven't seen Far From Home, not to cut you off, Shado, but if you haven't seen Far From Home, the ending was, of course, Spider-Man did actually beat
Mysterio.
It's funny. It's like I keep on seeing Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, which, by the way, was still great casting. But yes, he did defeat Mysterio, but Mysterio did have one trick up his sleeve to actually reveal the real identity of Spider-Man as Peter Parker to the world. So that's the premise. Yeah, that's the premise now. From far, I'm sorry. Let me take it back. It is assumed the premise from Far From Home. Because at this point, we don't know exactly where they're going to start, exactly with Spider-Man. Because keep in mind, this is post-Endgame. This is post-Far From Home. He's a little bit more in tune with his Spidey sense, his Peter tingle, if you will. And of course, now being back, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Because keep in mind, the Sony universe still introduced some, and I said this is my theory. But I'll go in my theory after you get done, Shadow. But also just to point this out, the Spider-Man off the Sony series did introduce some villains, also as well as far from what Homecoming and Far From Home did. But go ahead, Shadow, with your theory on what you think Far From Home might be.
So we already are aware that the multiverse is coming because, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, that's going to be a huge turning point in the MCU starting off. Mm-hmm. And we know that Spider-Man is going to be a part of that along with Wanda Maximoff and Doctor Strange. And, No Way Home could be, he's trapped in the multiverse and having to find his way home. Or, he can't go home because his identity revealed. What we're going to be getting will tie into what I'm calling the mini trilogy of Phase 4.
Okay.
Starting in WandaVision. WandaVision's whatever happens next week is going to cap off huge, leading into the Multiverse of Madness, mm-hmm. and whatever's going to happen in that is going to ride into the end in Spider-Man No Way Home. That's something that we've been having to deal with all those leaks and the suggestions of who's going to be a part of it and all this stuff. It is rumored, mm-hmm. not confirmed. It is rumored that we may possibly get Toby and Andrew. But what has been confirmed, mm-hmm. which makes everyone think that we're going to get a lot of multiverse shenanigans.
Right.
Alfred Molina has been confirmed for this movie. Yep. And so has Jamie Foxx. Now, remind me, Will, who did those two gentlemen play in the Spider-Man?
Doc Ock and Electro. So I loved Alfred Molina's version of Doc Ock. I loved it. I cannot complain about it. Jamie Foxx's version of Electro, I give him that. I kind of wish they go. I'm not gonna say they go a little bit different because we're used to the suit. Now, don't get me wrong. The suits were from the comics, and they were from the animated series that ran on Fox for 7 seasons. So we're used to that suit as Electro. Now, do I think that he at least deserves a suit? Because, him just walking around literally as purified energy with a trench coat?
That's Ultimate Universe.
Right, it is, but it's like, I'm so suit envious. Like, I think Electro deserves a suit. You made Rhino, even though Rhino in the Amazing Spider-Man, Rhino was more of it was almost like a Gundam actually. But Rhino's version of a suit was more of a giant mechanical suit versus the actual skin suit he can't take off. So I can understand that to a point. But my theory as far as Far From Home, like I said, it is rumored that we might see Tobey Maguire. It is rumored we might see Andrew Garfield, and of course, the only other cast that we know that we only cast the only characters we know. It's even a rumor that Michael Keaton's Vulture may show up.
Yeah.
So again, I get the whole thing of just is it like I have this theory, and again, this is far off. I don't think we will see the full Sinister Six. I don't think we'll see that. I think we'll maybe see 2 or 3. But I think somewhere in the middle of this movie, we're going to see the culmination of the Sinister Six.
I agree.
Because, I mean, at this point, it kind of swirls around who's going to be the Kingpin. It's almost guaranteed. Almost guaranteed in Far From Home, we are going to see the Kingpin. I would kind of prefer it the one from Daredevil, because I like Vincent. Thank you. Couldn't think of his last name to say in my life. I keep on wanting to say Law and Order Criminal Intent because that's where I remember him from.
That's where he's from, yeah.
But I loved him and Marvel's and Netflix's Daredevil as Kingpin just because he showed so many sides of Kingpin to where it's almost like you don't hate Kingpin, you actually feel for the guy. So
Can I give you something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I want to make this city something better than it is. Something beautiful. Mm-hmm. You took that away from me.
Yeah.
You took everything. I'm gonna kill you. Yeah, no, I need to see Vincent as a Kingpin in this movie. I need it. So yeah, I agree.
And don't get me wrong, I love that part. I love that part when he told Charlie Cox's Daredevil that when he said that, he pretty much. Of course, I was thinking what next to last episode when that happened. But I still think that there is going to be a combination of it. And this is why I say the Trinity, because I know we keep going back to WandaVision. We're actually going to talk about that very soon because everything that we're swirling around just seems to be WandaVision. But
that's WandaVision, yeah.
But it's almost like you can tell with Charlie Cox also being rumored there to be in scenes. They didn't say he was in the movie, but they say he was on set. So... And we already know that Marvel has gotten the rights back from Netflix for their series.
Yeah, buddy.
So I mean, there is a chance we will see Charlie Cox as Daredevil because I love that series. Yes. We still may see Jessica Jones. I'm still holding hope out for Luke Cage and Iron Fist because I think Iron Fist improved greatly in their second season. That first season was like David Eaton Karate Studios, but that second season was awesome though. Let's be honest. That first season of Iron Fist, he went to David Deaton Karate Studios. Me and Thomas joke about that all the time. But it's like...
You're not wrong.
But the second season, it's like someone took him to Jet Li and said, here.
Train him.
Yeah,
no. The second season was a great improvement. And even... honestly, I would love to see a Heroes for Hire Disney Plus show.
It should
have them both in one series and interacting off each other. We didn't need Defenders. It was nice what we got. It could have been better, but Heroes for Hire.
Yeah, I mean that one episode. I still go back on Netflix and just watch the one episode when they're all at what's his face International, and they all team up. Although I don't get the whole thing of Charlie Cox, blindfold himself like that's gonna do any good. It's like, how are you gonna describe the police? A blind man whooped our ass.
Trust me, Daredevil. They ain't finna tell nobody, so you good. And they already know who you are anyway. So
exactly. So I mean, I love the Defenders. Don't get me wrong. I still think we're gonna see those shows in the future. But as far as Spider-Man: Far From Home, I still think that we might actually see. I think that's their way. And again, this is just my theory. Before I go to what Joe said, this is my theory as far as what they're trying to do. I think they're going to. Because they said Wanda was the nexus point. Now, anybody that's followed Scarlet Witch, because I know Joe, you definitely follow it. I know Shado, you definitely follow it. That nexus characters are seen as the focal point of the universe. So, because we all know Scarlet Witch's powers is chaos magic, which means that she can literally bend reality to whatever she wants it to be. Could be the beginning of where we see Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness, to where we might see Mephisto, we might see Nightmare, we might, of course, that correlates lines with Spider-Man's Far From Home, to where, Doctor Strange may need Spider-Man's help to actually, go against them. So, either way, Scarlet Witch will, as far as Scarlet Witch is concerned, it is the focal point to me, is the start of Phase 4. But like I said, I still see a bunch of guest characters coming into this, And it's almost like Thor's movie Love and Thunder. We expect to see a lot more cameos. I better see Beta Ray Bill. I better see Beta Ray Bill in that movie.
Boy, oh my God. I will lose my...
Because I'm sorry.
If we get Beta Ray Bill.
Because I'm sorry. I better see Beta Ray Bill because, let's be honest, he is the official owner of Stormbreaker. Even though they did change up Stormbreaker where Thor got it, I get it. Yeah. But let's be honest, in Love and Thunder, they're going to basically remake Mjolnir. Mjolnir version 2.0 is going to get made again.
And we're going to give it to Jane. And then Thor's going to be, Odin's son, but he's going to have the mullet with the beard.
I want him to go unworthy. I want him to go unworthy Thor because it's such a story. There is so much lore and story in unworthy Thor that I think will be perfect. But like I said, that's speculation. But Joe, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to leave you last hanging. You said it's either Fallout or happening concurrently with Doctor Strange 2, which of course is following WandaVision. Okay, I agree with that. The Nexus of Realities is a swamp in Florida guarded by man thing. Yep,
he is correct.
You are right. So I will put that way, like I said, just to give Spider-Man's movie title. I'm looking forward to it. No Shadows, you're looking forward to it.
Always. It's Christmas. Also, it's coming this year, so
we're all watching it from home. I'm just gonna be honest.
And then the thing with that is you mentioned that technically what you said is correct, that WandaVision did start off Phase 4, but it wasn't the original start, and it upsets me that the fact that Black Widow is sitting somewhere fully completed and we haven't seen it yet.
You know why? Because I've said this. I'll say this once and I'll say this again. Marvel is wanting. They have seen. I'm gonna tell you why Marvel is banking on movies right now. They've seen what happened to Mulan. When Disney tried to go the route of Mulan and said, "Hey, for $40, you can watch it from home." And the buyout rate was good and terrible to the point to where now you can watch Mulan on Disney Plus for the whopping price of $8 a month that you've been paying.
Yeah.
So I think that Marvel, it's like we all want to see Black Widow. We want to see. Let's be honest. We want to see the final story of Black Widow. We want to see Natasha Romanoff's story. I want to see Red Guardian just because I love that actor from Stranger Things. I personally think
David Harbour is amazing.
Yeah, that's his name. Because I think from Hellboy, from the reboot of Hellboy, I think he just didn't get. I'll be honest with you. I loved his take in that Hellboy movie. I love the fact they tried to go as comic book as humanly possible with Excalibur, the Blood Queen, and Ian McShane playing his dad.
Yeah,
it's just the fact of I think that was a rush story because if you look at Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy 2: The Golden Army, those are more watchable at the same time. You try to introduce Abe at the end of the reboot. That's what messed it all up.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, that's one of many things, but it really messed it all up. But like I said before, Marvel is hoping the theater. And don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, theaters are open. The movie theaters are open. They're all doing COVID-19 regulations, which means that, of course, seating. If you've ever been to a movie theater, my buddy Brandon Davis from comicbook.com,
what's up?
Yeah, he's an avid moviegoer, so I usually lean on him for a movie. He'll go into a movie theater, and he's been to here in Tennessee in movie theaters, and they're empty. Now, of course, you can rent movie theaters, which I never thought I'd see that possible. You can rent out a movie theater for $100. So, if you guys got like any impending birthdays coming up, but still,
you might have said something right there.
What's that?
100 buckaroos for the whole theater.
That's currently Regal. Is that Regal? Or, no, that's Regal. That's Regal Cinemas.
Yeah,
that's Regal Cinemas rate right now. It's $100 to rent out a movie theater.
I might. You know what? I might got something a little going here because I refuse to sit at home and watch Godzilla vs. Kong. That's a movie you see in theaters. I'm going with my mask to sit down in that theater and watch that movie.
The only thing I can sit there and say about Godzilla vs. Kong, which I'm looking forward to, is how do you make Kong as big as Godzilla? That is my only gripe. That is my only gripe.
He took some time to grow. one little throwaway line in Kong Skull Island. Oh, he's still a baby compared to their size. And I'm like, oh, well, okay.
I'm like,
that's how they're going to explain it.
Kong been lifted? I mean,
he spends every day beating up scroll callers. So I mean, yeah, I think he might have put on did some Thomas training and put on some weight and got
in
some.
Thomas's case, Thomas's case, he be lifting. But but no, it's like, don't get me wrong. I love Kong Skull Island. I love the whole premise behind it. I am looking forward to this because this is I want to say the third rendition of Godzilla vs. Kong. I'm not sure if this. I think the first one was back in the 60s. I'm pretty sure there was one more that was done in the 70s. I think this will make the third one.
If it wasn't that.
I want to
say
this
is 50 years since then. It's been almost, I think, either 50 years or almost 60 years since that happened.
Yeah, so I want to say it's the third. It's the third one. But again, I'm looking forward to it. They've already sat there and said that Mechagodzilla will be in this because we literally saw the screenshot and Godzilla attacking people, which he's never done before. So we already know Mechagodzilla is going to be somewhere in this. But speaking of other movies, and like I said, with the whole, everything going streaming, I have said this before.
1962. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Because I couldn't remember the second one. I think that was that the second one or the first one?
This was the King Kong vs. Godzilla. Well, I think at least the first one was released on August 11, 1962. Okay. I'm not seeing a second one. Maybe.
Okay, so then I stand corrected. If you're not seeing the second one, then this is the second one. Then I thought there was one more, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that. We'll just say number two because I'm thinking it was a 70s release, but I could be wrong. But we'll say that's the second. We'll say that's the number two. But going back to the whole streaming thing, like I've been saying, COVID-19 has really prevented a lot of people going to movie theaters, and the movie theaters have had a hit. So a lot of people are going the streaming route. Now, of course, with every movie studio doing streaming, Paramount has done streaming. And Paramount has decided for its streaming services, they want to actually redo Rugrats. So let me play the trailer for this.
Man.
To me for a sec. I don't want any trouble, Angelica. No trouble. I want to play a new game. It's called Be My Jonathan. I made it up special for you and me. I'd ask Tommy, but you know how he gets. Raptor! Use your laser beams! I have been trying to be more adventurous lately. Good. Now go get the frosted animal cookies out of the bag Aunt Dee Dee hides behind the Hanukkah stuff. Where's that? In the pantry. But where? The bottom shelf. How many cookies? Only the pink ones. Okay. What's a pantry?
Okay, so that's actually the Rugrats version that's going to be on Paramount Plus. Now, I know what everybody's thinking. Yes, it is another streaming service. Unfortunately, that is the way of the world. That if we can't go to movie theaters, and a lot of people do not want to go to movies, then this is what they have to do. And Paramount is pushing that forward, like many other things. They're trying to push forward with shows and content because, let's be honest, they need their money. They're gonna need their money regardless. Don't get me wrong about Rugrats. I like the fact of how they try to. I like the fact of what they're doing with Rugrats. If, like I said, me and Shado and kids and guys, seasoned people. I say seasoned. We're not old. In the words of Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday in Tombstone, we ain't old. We're in my prime.
Yeah.
But I love Rugrats because it goes for all those that grew up under the Nickelodeon sun, not the Nickelodeon that these kids know these kids these days know, but the Nickelodeon we knew, the Rugrats, Rocko's Modern Life, Ren and Stimpy,
Rocket Power.
Yeah.
Classics, man.
You can go down the list. I mean, technically, Ren and Stimpy, I think Ren and Stimpy kind of mess with us because that might explain how it led to certain shows in life that we can't say on this podcast. But you can tell that the creators were on something when Ren and Stimpy got created. But then again, like I said, you can say anything about Rocko's Modern Life. But the point I'm making is Rugrats was always interesting because I don't care what nobody says in that Rugrats movie. Tommy was about to take out his brother.
Boy, man, he was finna let them monkeys have him.
Not the nanners!
He was finna drip the nanners on his brother and let the monkeys maul him.
Right.
That was the darkest moment in Rugrats history.
I never expected...
shouldn't have dark moment.
It shouldn't, but it's so funny that now you think about it, it's like, God dang, we was watching some dark stuff as kids. We was watching some really dark stuff as... We saw Tommy take a power move to his own brother.
Man.
You can almost hear Tommy reciting New Jack City. Am I my brother's keeper? Tommy almost went Nino Brown.
My God.
But looking at this, and what do you say, Joe? Boycott of Busta Rhymes doesn't return to Reptar. You know the funny part is, not too many people knew that Busta Rhymes actually voiced Reptar on the show.
That's one of those super obscure things that if you're not like a super fan and you just dive into it to see who the actors are, you would never know.
Right. So
you would never know.
I'm just there laughing because I was like, oh dang, he's right. No, I was like, when I go back and look at it, I say, yes, he was Reptar. But like I said before, if you got kids, I usually have every streaming service out there because I don't have cable. But then again, at this point, I might as well be paying for cable at this rate for all the streaming services I'm hooked into.
Yeah.
So that being said,
it has my money.
Say what? Go ahead.
Paramount has my money, and I'll tell you what. Avatar Studios.
Because you're hoping new episodes of the Last Airbender.
Not even just new episodes. We're getting a theatrical animated movie.
As long as M. Night Shyamalan's not directing it.
Oh no! No. We're supposed to get an animated theatrical movie. Just having like a Marvel Studios, but for Avatar, opens up the world for so much more. We could see stories from Avatar's long past. We saw the first Avatar.
Right.
Avatar Kyoshi is a very popular Avatar. Everyone wants to see her story. We could see a possible story of who came after Korra. There's so much that can be seen. Now, I hope what they do with it is pace it very nice and steady because we don't want to add too much at one time and end up, just blowing everybody away and then getting like start upgrading it.
Don't get me wrong. Yes, you want to take your time with that. I mean, you don't want to do a Batman vs Superman.
No. Take your time, establish your stuff, and build up your stuff. God, that's the just. There are days, you got shower thoughts, or you're just sitting there driving in your zone out. You're just sitting there, you're sitting in the park, just thinking like, the DCEU could have been so great.
Why did you use that? Why did you say that name?
Oh.
What did he say? He said Martha. Why did you say that name?
Oh, it could have been so great. So great.
I just love that. Deadpool sat there, and Deadpool was sitting there saying, I hope nobody's name is Martha.
No, I'm gonna do a TikTok about that. Cause that was a nice little parallel. Me sitting there thinking, just like, oh, it could have been so great. Just have all like the worst lines and the worst like clips showing, like, so great.
I can't tell you how many Snyder fanboys I've ticked off on Twitter. It's just like, let me be. I sit there and said it's always funny. Like, oh, what? Just wait till the Snyder cut comes out. You're gonna eat your word. I said, you know what? I hope for your sake the Snyder cut is the best thing smoking. Do you know why? Do
you know what's gonna happen if it's not?
Oh, it's gonna be quiet because I'm gonna be on. When I tell you, here's how petty I am. For anybody that knows me, here's how petty I am. If you disagree with me on Twitter, I wrote down your handle. I literally have a list of everybody who sat there and told me. That is great. Who sat there and told me you're gonna eat your words when the Snyder Cut comes out. I have a list. I sound like Joker. I have a list. And if it bombs, I sit there and said on my podcast. I sit there and said this 4 weeks ago on my podcast. I sat there and said, I will go back and do a grand apology to every Snyder fanboy and say, you guys are right. If he was given time, it's a great movie. Now, on the other hand, if this 4-hour train wreck is exactly what I think it is, be prepared for the most longest Twitter taglines. I think I'm gonna wind up breaking Twitter doing that. I'm gonna try to tag everybody I can and be like, you remember this date? You remember this date? You remember this date? Remember what you said? I think you owe me an apology.
Oh my god!
And I'm waiting for that. But
when you do that, let me know.
I'm putting that on. I'm gonna put that on. Well, either way, I'm putting it on my podcast so I can sit there and say people can't sit there and say I didn't do it because I'm going to do it. But
oh man.
But let's keep it going though because like I said, those Snyder fanboys come out of nowhere talking about you just wait. Okay, cool. Now I know you haven't seen Black Clover. I'm actually about to show a trailer for it, so they're not going to see us. They're going to actually see see a little bit of a clip for it. Now, okay. Black Clover to me is, like I said, when it comes to anime, I know Shado tries. We don't always, there's nothing wrong. First and foremost, there's nothing wrong with mainstream media. There's no wrong with mainstream anime. If you like Dragon Ball, if you like Bleach, if you like Gundam, whether it's G Gundam, Gundam Wing, Gundam Seed, Mobile Suit Gundam, Zephyr's Rebirth of Zephyr, doesn't matter. If you like them, it doesn't make you any less an anime fan. That being said, I always try to go out there because we sometimes get caught in our bubbles about certain animes we love. So I usually go on Crunchyroll or Funimation and I try to find ones that, I've never seen before. Black Clover was one of them because that was actually suggested to me and I love it. If you haven't seen Black Clover, you should definitely check that out. Jujutsu Kaisen, if you haven't seen that. The God of High School, if you have not seen that on Crunchyroll, you definitely should. If you've seen, I just started watching yesterday. That one time I got reincarnated as slime. Yes, the title threw me off. I still recommend that you should go watch it if you like it. Now keep in mind, what I just described are 4, I like to call them high action animes. So if you're on the lines of Naruto or Boruto or, like I said, One Piece, which I still follow One Piece. I am one of those One Piece guys that I can't get off the Grand Line. Okay? As long as Luffy is riding the Grand Line, I will ride the Grand Line. Because between that and also about Bleach, you should catch up on that because the new anime is coming out about the 1,000-Year Blood War. I've read the manga on that and loved it. I still think that they're going forward with it. They didn't say when it's going to be released. But if you've never seen Bleach, you really should. Again, that's high action. That's a high action anime series. But the reason why I say Black Clover is because it's hitting a stopping point in anime. Because keep in mind, for all those that don't know, anime follows manga. So anime episodes can sometimes catch up to the manga. And when that happens, you sometimes get a final episode. Now, it doesn't mean final like we're never coming back. It's more of a stopping point so they can give the manga some time to get ahead and then reignite the anime series because there are a lot more. And I always say reading is fundamental. Let me also say this on Git Bit. You should always read because just like Lord of the Rings, I tell everybody you can love The Hobbit and you can love the Hobbit trilogy, but if you've ever read the unabridged version of The Hobbit, there is so much more story that's in the book that the movie unfortunately couldn't cover. So I always say you should read it. Just like The Maze Runner, with the Scorched Trials and the Death Cure, those books have so much story in them. And like I said, if you can read Harry Potter, and it's what 6 books now? I think book 6,
7, something like that. Yeah.
I know my girlfriend is an avid Harry Potter fan. She should be helping me out right now, but she loves Harry Potter. But again, if you read those Harry Potter books and watch the movies, I always tell people if you love the anime, support the manga because honestly, if you support the manga, the animes keep going. And with Black Clover, nobody knew about it, but then it caught fire, and then they just kept on cranking out episode after episode, which now they're currently at the stopping point for 170. Now, this is just a clip of what Black Clover is, and you might want to adjust your speakers.
自分の力も使いこなせないようじゃ 到底なれないよな。魔法帝には。空気に帰った僕たちの魔法の残滓を凝縮して悪魔の魔法に通用する剣を作り上げた。私たちとの戦いからなんという成長の速度。風精霊創世魔法スピリット・オブ・ゼファー。今掴みかけてたとこだっつうの。できんじゃねえか。ああ、俺は魔法帝になるからな。アンチ魔法ダンマの剣ブラックディバイダー。こいつらはなんてスピードで進化。風属性に剣の魔法。そうか、彼は。けれど五つ葉のクリモワールを扱う彼は一体。
魔力を持たずに生まれてきた身の程知らずのバカな少年です。ただこの国で一番努力した一番諦めの悪いバカな少年です。
見たが言うのてめえこの野郎。なんとか形にしたはいいが全然長持ちしそうにねえ。あいつを切るまで持たせろよアスター。一瞬で決める。威勢は良いのですが、そんなスピードで私に届きますかね。
Oh. Okay, so that was actually the clip from Black Clover. Like I said before, It is definitely high energy. So I couldn't go into it as far as that spot. Shado, I know you haven't seen it yet, but it is available on 3 places. So Funimation, Crunchyroll, and Hulu, because Hulu was actually big at first because of their anime library. But Netflix is also starting to do that too because, it's another one, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. If you have not seen Demon Slayer, it is also good, which currently right now, we're still waiting on the Infinity Train. For anybody that doesn't know anime movies, they are released in Japan at first. It takes a full year before we actually get it here on the US subtitled. So it'll take a second for it to get here. Actually, Demon Slayer is actually supposed to pick up when it starts again. It's supposed to be post Infinity Train. So, like me, I read the manga first, so it's like I'll know exactly what's going on. So I just want to give people a fair warning when Demon Slayer comes back. It is post Infinity Train. So, like I said, have you seen Demon Slayer, Shado?
I have not.
Okay.
Like I said earlier in the podcast. It's I have a list of stuff that I want to watch, and it's Demon Slayer is on my list because I'm dropping a new series this year on my channel called Anime Takeover, where I do get a chance to sit down and watch animes and actually go over them and review them. Something I've been wanting to do, and now I have the means to do them. But I'm starting small with just like 12 episode animes, Rocket no Cavalry.
Gotcha.
I'm doing that stuff like Demon Lore, stuff like
hopefully not Assassination Classroom because that's still going. Assassination Classroom is still going.
Anything that's ongoing, I'm not even planning on touching right now. I'm just doing ones that I either finish, have about 2 seasons where I can do 12 and 12 or just 1 12 season and the occasional movie. So that's what I'm doing now just to start up. I have to keep a certain schedule because otherwise nothing will get done, or I'll just sit there and ramble. So I have to keep a schedule of what I do so I can actually watch them, talk about them, review them, and all that stuff, and get it out. So I was supposed to drop Demon Lord this month. I don't think it's going to happen because of my schedule of some of my other videos.
Huh? You're a busy man. You got to tell them what you do.
Between photography and OnlyFans, and both 2 YouTube channels, one dedicated to photography and nerdy content, the other dedicated to storytelling, what ifs, and fan fiction. So check out those; they are coming soon. Mm-hmm. My time is split between a lot of different stuff, but I do try to take time and like set aside work and just watch stuff, and then occasionally take my notes, whatever. So that's my goal. I'm not going to start with Anime Takeover this month. I will, however, be starting with Cartoon Takeover, which each series will be bi-monthly. So this month, coming up in March, Cartoon Takeover, the first episode for that will be Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Nice.
I will review those 2 seasons, talk about why it's honestly one of the best Marvel animated shows we've ever gotten. As far as the new age stuff.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I just read what Joe said.
What?
Joe said, unless you like part 3 of Gundam Age, there's a jail for those people.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But yeah, so like just that's a series that I'm hoping is going to take off, where I can talk about cartoons. I'm going to start with smaller series. Cartoon Takeover will end in November with the 20th anniversary of my all-time favorite series, Justice League.
Nice.
The DCAU 20th anniversary, so I'm excited for that. But so that's just a little plug for my channel. But yeah, I have not had a chance to catch up on a lot. I do want to take time, not just to watch them for work, but just to watch them.
Gotcha.
Just to enjoy. Black Clover is a magical anime. I love magic stuff. You've seen some of my visual effects videos where I do magic steals and all that stuff. I look at Doctor Strange and anime and stuff like that. Like, oh, you know what? I think that's cool. I'm gonna try that. But so yeah, I do want to catch it eventually. It does pique my interest. It's just timing, man. So yeah,
trust me, you got a better plan of prioritizing than I do. I just don't sleep. I just don't sleep.
What's that?
Sleep. I say the same thing. I just wake up.
I don't know what sleep is.
I just wake up in my bed and just wonder how I got there, and then hey, as long as the door's still locked, I'm good. Nobody robbed me.
Yeah.
So So a couple more things before we call. I know, like I said, I do appreciate Shado being on. A couple more things before we call today. Like I said before, I know you, and now knowing Joe, which I met Joe today, are definitely Arrowverse libraries I can depend on. And the question I have is, because this was actually brought up in an article today, was that there was a tease from Arrow, from Crisis on Infinite Earths, to where he could possibly be the Green Lantern. Keep in mind, the last time we saw Diggle, he was basically with a certain carrying device, and in that certain carrying device, when it opened up, glowed green. We all know when we see a green one, we've all sat there and said that Diggle's first name happens to be John. And that, of course, Diggle's actual name was John Stewart. That being said, because again, we know Arrow ended a couple of years ago. However, with the rest of the CW shows, with Legends of Tomorrow, with Supergirl and Stargirl, which Stargirl again is kind of like that standout one. We don't expect to see that in any crossovers anytime soon because of the time period, and that not a lot of people know about Stargirl. She's one of the lesser known DC characters because I think beforehand she was with the Justice Society before it became Justice League. But again, can we say, because of this article that's been put out, that John Diggle could possibly show up as a Green Lantern somewhere in the remainder of the Arrowverse? Yes.
And I say that because, one, David Ramsey is all for it. Shout out to him for coming on in 2012 in a show that was focused on a somewhat mainstream DC character and making a character of his own come to life.
Yeah.
Diggle has always been one of my favorite characters in the entire Arrowverse, and I'm so excited because earlier it was like, oh, well, his name is John, and everyone was like, oh, well, he could be John Stewart, and he can do it. And I guess they were like, well, the fans said it, we could just make it happen. And then they revealed his stepfather's last name was Stewart, and I was like, hold up. So you mean to tell me that this man's name, his full name is John Diggle Stewart?
And yet he's not. I mean, he's not a part of the Green Lantern Corps.
And he's a military guy, and he's been around superheroes for a good minute now. So what you're telling me is, his name is John Diggle Stewart, and then you drop that green crater in the end of Crisis, and I'm like, yeah.
And that's and I keep saying that. Like I said, that when I saw that, I was like, that's kind of one of the bright spots. It's kind of one of the bright spots to me in Crisis was that we see possibly, because we saw John Diggle. When I saw him say, okay, Diggle, I was like, okay, is he going to be the Manhattan Guardian? Is he going to be a Spartan? Or, you know, and they
I wanted him to be Guardian at first. Mm-hmm. But we got, James and then all that stuff. But he came into his own character. He got Spartan, and then they slowly did his suit and everything.
Yeah.
And the running, I guess, it's not really a theory. It could possibly happen if that thing that's happening outside hadn't happened.
He could have been Green Lantern.
I think the crossover this year would have featured him on Superman and Lois as Green Lantern. So going forward, I believe that yes, the possibility of Diggle coming back in single or double roles on different shows as Green Lantern is a huge possibility that it will happen.
So let me ask you this. Because this is my theory. I think that because everybody wants to see a Green Lantern, because, no disrespect to Ryan Reynolds, we understand. Sometimes the roles you take ain't always home runs. We understand. We love you as Deadpool. You know that Deadpool was literally a role that was made for you.
Yes.
We are not complaining. And you did us right by what you did with Green Lantern at the end of Deadpool 2. We're not complaining about that. But from a show point, I would think, to me, I think Green Lantern would do better on Superman and Lois versus Legends of Tomorrow. Because Legends of Tomorrow, don't get me wrong, you have Constantine, which for me is the only saving grace of that show. Because you took out Rip. I don't know why you took out Rip, and you decided to make Sarah the captain. I don't get the story. I don't get the story right on there. I don't get the fact that, you couldn't keep the two brothers. You couldn't keep Captain Cold and Heatwave, which again made the show for me. The dynamic between Wentworth Miller and God, I can't think of his name to save my life right now. The guy who played Heatwave. They had such a good dynamic, and then you brought on Vixen, and you kind of watered it down. So it's like you brought on Constantine because, let's be honest, everybody loved him in the crossover, so you decided to make him a part of Legends of Tomorrow, which you really should have done in Justice League Dark, but that's okay. That's okay. That being said, I think that if they do go forward with Green Lantern, because I think it would be a shot in the arm for the Arrowverse for Green Lantern to kind of have his own show, because you can expand out and bring in Sinestro, and you can bring in the Green Lantern Corps. You could bring in, of course, the Guardian Council. You could bring all of that in to that otherworldly part, and that would be great. At the same time, how could you screw up a Green Lantern story? There are so many enemies that you could use.
Yeah, so, that don't have to be other lanterns. And to say that, I think when they originally announced HBO Max and all the DC stuff on it, a Green Lantern type show was planned for that.
Yeah, the Green Lantern. Green Lantern was
so that. My hope is that, because let's be honest, I mean, we're looking at a live action multiverse right now, but we saw Flash and Flash Connect from Justice League and Arrowverse. If Warner Brothers would just leave shit alone, leave stuff alone.
It's 9:49. It'll be all right.
Yeah. If they would just leave stuff alone and let DC handle things like they should and want to, then we could have been seeing from a whole bunch of different stuff a long time ago.
Yeah.
So my hope is that they take the character of Diggle, make him pop up a couple times in the Arrowverse, and take his character and plug him as John D. Stewart into the Green Lantern Corps. And then go from there. You don't need to get another actor. You already have one who's willing to do it.
Right. And he's already set up for the role. You're exactly right. Yes. It makes perfect sense. And that's what I say about this, because I'm like, you could have him cameo as Superman and Lois. You could have him even cameo in Supergirl, because John stayed on Supergirl. He never left. The Martian Manhunter. The Martian Manhunter has stayed on Supergirl since what? Season 2 and has never left.
Since season 1, but season 1, he's in the fifth episode when he finally got revealed, and he's been one of the consistently best characters to me in that show. Shout out to David Harwood. He's been a phenomenal actor for one of the best characters in DC mythos. And honestly, with Supergirl coming to an end, I hope they don't just, well, you guys, show's over, goodbye. No, you have other shows. Spread them out. Give Martian Manhunter his own show.
Which again, he has his own storyline. It's just like Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing could have been great, but they Hollywoodized it. Swamp Thing could have been a great show, but they Hollywoodized it. That's why I sit there and said it's kind of funny when I say Hollywoodized it. Because if you really think about it, I use Suicide Squad as the greatest example. Suicide Squad, the Hollywood version, was a Saturday midday. I'm too lazy to change the channel movie. Don't get me wrong. Will Smith was a great Deadshot. Not complaining. I loved Captain Boomerang. I loved El Diablo, although it's kind of messed up that they went ahead and killed him off. The guy who played Rick Flag, Joel Kinnaman, loved him too. He's
awesome.
It's messed up how they did Apache. How Apache got killed in like the first 5 seconds. And I'll be
Slipknot.
I'm sorry, what? Oh,
his name was Slipknot.
Slipknot. Okay, I'm sorry, Slipknot. Yeah. My apologies. But again, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn has always been the thorn in my side.
Really? Really?
She's always. I'm sorry. This is why I say this is going to be unpopular opinion time. Margot Robbie was the worst casting for Harley Quinn.
Interesting. Okay.
When Tara Strong is available.
I agree. But looking at, action-wise and, movie stuff, I don't think I've ever actually seen Tara in a movie. It's outside of just voice acting.
Right, but that's the
thing. So I get that.
Right, but her look, I say that too. I can agree with that. But her look, like, if you've ever seen a picture of Tara Strong, and
she is Harley,
and you look, and it's just like, you can tell the artist who did the animated series for Batman, when you first see Harley Quinn, it's almost like they took Tara Strong's current features and just basically added stuff. And
shout out to Arlene Sorkin, the original voice.
Thank you. And it's just like, you can see different variations of Harley Quinn. And don't get me wrong, there's always going to be variations. As there are new incantations of different stories, you're going to see different variations of different characters. Although they should have left Joker alone in the New 52. That being said...
Woo, you're right.
That being said, you made Joker look like a dude that fell into an ICU party during a mugshot and got grills. But that being said, it's just that Margot Robbie, it just... And again... I can't get past. Every time I see Harley, it's almost like overacting. Harley Quinn was never extra. She was sinister. She was sinister, but cute. She drew you in, but she could kill you. And I get that from every animated series that I watch Tara Strong in. But when I see Margot Robbie, it's like you have to over-sexualize it, and you don't have to. Harley Quinn itself, especially, case in point, Suicide Squad, the whole thing about, having her, doing ballerina moves while sipping tea, or can I get a cappuccino machine, or, doing certain things. It just, to me, it's like you made Suicide Squad a lot more about Harley Quinn than you actually did about everybody else. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, Will Smith, whatever movie he's in, it's going to be a central point. Again, I don't mind what they did with Deadshot. Deadshot was kind of on this redemption story, the redemption story Deadshot they tried to do in Suicide Squad. I'm not knocking that. So that's why I sit there and say at the end of it all, you tried to go with Enchantress, and of course Enchantress and her brother, and those were the villains. So that's why I sit there and say it's a little hard for me to enjoy Suicide Squad. Which is why I'm looking forward to Mr. Gunn,
James Gunn,
James Gunn's version of Suicide Squad. I'm looking forward to it because it has so much more of the original ones. I'll tell you right now, I don't think John Cena is going to mess up Peacemaker.
No.
I don't think he's going to mess up.
I don't think so either.
Everybody thinks that John Cena's going to mess up Peacemaker. I said, a guy who loves peace so much that he's willing to kill for it, and he literally looks like the original character.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then you have Blackguard, you have Polka Dot Man, Weasel. It's like there are so many names that are coming out that I'm just like, James Gunn really did do his homework as far as how he wanted to do this, and he set it up to where it's 70s, which makes sense for the time that it's in. And of course, I can never think of that woman's name that's playing Wanda Sykes. That's playing Amanda Waller. God. And it's so bad because she's a great actress. I can't think of her name life right now.
Viola Davis?
Thank you, Viola Davis. Viola Davis is playing her. Although CCH Pounder is still available. That being said, I said CCH Pounder is still available, and don't get me wrong, she did a great animated. She did a great Amanda Waller. She did a great. Don't get me wrong about Viola Davis, accomplished actress in her own right. And one of the most shining and one of the very shining points in Suicide Squad because she kind of had that I don't give a rat's butt attitude toward Bruce Wayne. I love that attitude. So like I said, it's just that when I look at that with the DC, it's just there's so much more can be done, but it's always been casting and story that's always been the weak points. And I think
could have been great.
Except, and I said not in all movies, although Wonder Woman 84 could use some retooling.
Please don't, no.
It could use it, like I said, Wonder Woman 84 could use some retooling because I love the first Wonder Woman. I loved, like I said, I mean the movies that actually made sense: Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Shazam.
Yep.
3 great DC movies that literally the directors got it out of the park with the story. Especially Shazam. Shazam was supposed to be family related. Like, well, all these kids, yes, they were all a part in some aspect during the comic. I loved it. And of course, we discussed Aquaman and how James Wan with it. Wonder Woman, when Patty Jenkins first did it, I loved it. Wonder Woman 84 was just It was almost 3 hours of a story you could have told in an hour and 20 minutes. That's all I'm saying.
I wholly agree.
And then Minerva, becoming Cheetah because she wanted to be more like Diana. And it's like, well, so the Keystone was like the monkey's paw. Okay, yes, I remember the story about the monkey's paw. It granted your wish, but at the same time, it took something from you. But if Minerva's wish was to become more like Diana, why in the blue did she become a cheetah? I'll put it this way. Me and my girlfriend were watching this movie, right? The first time we watched it, we fell asleep. I'm not going to lie. The first time we tried to watch 184, we fell asleep. It was late in the day. We both had long days. We're sitting here on my couch trying to watch 184. We both went to sleep. So we tried to watch it again the next day. And I'm just there looking at this like, how do you become Cheetah? Because I'm thinking to myself, did she go back to Maxwell Lord and did she sit there and say, I want power, I want this, I want that? And I was thinking to myself, so did she make 2 wishes? Versus one? So it's
the whole thing, it didn't pan out like they wanted it to.
Oh, and I'm sorry, John, I missed your comment. Martian Manhunter can just segue into his Bloodwind persona. Yeah, he could.
He really could, and he can just tie right into Superman and Lois, and it'd be really cool to see that.
But it's just. Yeah. I looked at 184. I was just like, I was hoping for so much, and then everybody, I agreed with the internet community that the Keystone's power to put Steve Trevor into the body of someone else, yet it has the ability to create nukes out of nowhere. And I admit, it was a little bit creepy. Y'all basically took a man against his consent.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, when I watch this, I'm like, she goes, I don't see him. I just see you. No, we see the guy.
Oh my god.
And so it's just like, so you're telling me the Keystone is all powerful, but it can't do Scarlet Witch and bring somebody back into existence, huh? Okay. And I've never seen so many people who love Wonder Woman 84 try to defend it and say, well, it's because its powers are limited. Really? It was granting wishes at the end that didn't make any sense. But yet you can't bring a body of a person into existence. And what made this Keystone think to pick this sad, unfortunate stranger as the person of your former love?
Ooh,
but
man, you
I'm just saying.
Man.
I'm just saying. As I watch this, I'm like, it's almost like watching a parent who was hoping that the kid would get right the spelling bee, and the kid had the easiest word of all time, and they still managed to mess it up. It's like, Jordan, your word is cat.
K-A-T.
And you just see the parent in the background going, I had such hopes. I had such high hopes.
Yeah, no, that is a horrifyingly accurate assumption.
Yes.
Of what this movie was. It could have been so much better.
So now, and the funny part is that they went ahead and greenlight a third Wonder Woman movie. I wonder what it could be. And now, don't get me wrong, there are some good parts about 84. She did get the ability of flight, which again, I'm like, okay. The whole riding the lightning, but I was kept on saying the whole entire time, where's the sword and the shield? The sword and the shield that was so prevalent in the first movie.
I mean, who did she actually fight? Like, me personally, Wonder Woman? Mm-hmm. Wonder Woman. Batman has stated on several occasions in many adaptations that Wonder Woman is the single greatest melee fighter of all time. And do you know what movie actually represented that for me?
What's that?
Batman versus Superman.
Oh,
when she was going against Doomsday. This woman's sitting here smiling.
Oh, what she because she's
actually fighting something
that's the sound of a crazy woman. That's the sound of a crazy chick, by the way. When you hit them and they get up smiling, that's when you realize you're not in control of the relationship at that point.
Crazy or not, that was kind of how I was like, oh, she smiled. Ooh, yeah. So like that Wonder Woman, the warrior, yeah. Show the compassion. We saw a Wonder Woman trilogy should be the compassion, the early fish out of water type story, which we got. Yeah, so we got in the first one. We saw the warrior turn to the compassionate. The second one should have been compassion being used against her and bringing out those warrior tendencies back into the fold. And then the third one, after whatever happens in Justice League or whatever, having them be balanced.
Right. I mean, let's be honest. The Wonder Woman 84 was really just a repeat of the same love story. It's like, I have to give up Trevor in order to get my powers back. Yeah, because you wished upon a keystone. And it's just like, why are we telling the same story from the first one again? I mean, just give me the guy who was too scared to shoot, but apparently had a wonderful singing voice.
Yeah.
But
honestly, I said, the whole entire concept of the DCEU could
be better.
Have been great, and it could be better. But there is something that is simply amazing and has been amazing for the past couple weeks.
What's that?
WandaVision.
Yep. And I believe we now need to address the elephant in the room. We've been dancing around it for this podcast. I think it's now time for us to address episode 8 of also known as episode 8 of Previously On. So again, this is the final episode review we're gonna have for this podcast, guys. This is spoiler filled. If you have not seen WandaVision episode 8,
leave now, because I'm about to spoil.
Yeah, you might want to leave now because I'm gonna let Shado, because I'm gonna let him give the synopsis of it, and then we're gonna discuss it. So you've been warned. Shado, take it away.
All right. Previously on WandaVision, we finally discover what we've all known all along. Mm-hmm. It was Agatha all along.
They went to the whole musical.
And then we open up this episode. We see her origin, which, it was nice to see it. Mm-hmm. Did they really need it? I don't think so.
They went Mortal Kombat
it was fine.
They went Mortal Kombat with that beginning.
Yeah, which I'm glad for. Do more comic book stuff. We see magic beams and floating witches.
She went, your soul is mine. She went to everybody.
She did.
Your soul.
She did. And so I'm glad we saw it. Did we really need it? No, but I'm glad we got it. Mm-hmm. And then we go right into the the tie into last episode, she's holding Wanda prisoner. She's explaining, yeah, so you thought you could do your own magic in my place. You see these ruins? I put them up there. Only the witch who put them up there can do her magic into place. I'm like, okay, that's a G move right there.
Yeah, that was.
Like, yeah, no, come down into my layer. You want to fight? Oh, you can't. Can you?
That was kind of messed up.
Oops. And so she takes her on this memory ride and seeing points in Wanda's life that we've only heard about. I love it. I love when stories do that. That's what honestly drew me into Arrow for so long, because we were seeing.
You're seeing the flashbacks, right?
The early and what made him to what he is now. I mean, we know about all the tragedies that have befallen Wanda that made her into what's going on right now. But to see them, man, let me tell you, it's 3:00 in the morning. I'm sitting there watching it, and it's the scene where she's with her family, and I'm like, oh, this is wholesome, and I'm sitting there like, oh, well, she gets her love of sitcoms from her dad and to watching them, and that's nice. So that explains the whole sitcom thing. You know that this show has been very good with their jump scares. Man, when they're bombing off, I'm like, what the? Whoa, hold up.
Especially especially at 3 a.m. in the morning when you're full alert and every sound is amplified.
Man, I was like, what the heck? So it was a jarring thing, but I was like, okay, well, now we get to see that, and then. While she's going on this trip, while she's going from the parents dying and sitting there watching the bomb, and then I get a little tidbit that I didn't think they fully knew what they were saying. Wanda was trying to, wave her hand out to the Stark Industries bomb, but then it cuts, and then Agatha starts talking. I'm like, hold up, are they implying that she's the reason that it didn't go off?
Yeah, because
so I was like, oh.
Yeah, because even when she pulls her back, she goes, "Here's the probability hex, didn't you?" She goes, "What?" Yeah, and you can literally see that whole scenario. But yeah, right.
So and then she takes her to the Hydra facility where they're testing her powers, and what the Hydra goons see is just her walking in, and then she drops. But what we see the Mind Stone coming out of the staff. It's approaching her like, I sense something in you. There's something about you. And then it breaks open its shell. We see the actual Mind Stone itself, and we see a silhouette. And oh my god, bro! I was sitting there like, yes, because the silhouette looked exactly like the comic book accurate version of Wanda now, with the hat. And the
cape and the fig.
I think they're gonna go with the trench coat cape look almost instead of the actual cape. But I'm glad we got. I'm glad we got Elizabeth Olsen in the classic comics one for the Halloween show, because let me tell you that outfit was
filled out, caked up.
Okay. Anyway. So we see that, and they're trying to figure out, her, like what happened to her, and she stand up, she gets her powers, and then she opens the door again, and we see this lovely little moment between Wanda and Vision. Like, I believe it's their real first interaction after Pietro had died, and Wanda's trying to understand her. Vision's trying to understand her grief, and Wanda's trying to get him to understand, but also the way he explains that he's never had loss, he's never had loved ones to lose, and all that stuff. And we see that connection form, and I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that scene, and then of course knowing what happened, he's like, and then the whole time Agatha's like, she's like, okay, wow, you are something else with all this trauma and everything, and then we see her walk into the sword base and everything. Now, from the footage we saw earlier where Hayward was like, oh, well, she broke into the and took Vision. Well, I'm thinking, okay, well, we finna see her wreak havoc, and, blast everybody away, giving my boyfriend body, my synthetic body thing that I'm going to take and do the thing with. And no. Expectation subversion. She says, I can't feel him. Starts crying. She walks away and she leaves.
Right.
She's driving. She's heading to Westview, which that tore her heartstring because she opens up the note and, it was like our start of our new life. They they spent 2 years on the run. They were ready to get started.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they had planned this out. This little community in Westview was going to be their new home, their new start of life.
Right.
Like it is in the comics. And she's sitting there in what was supposed to be their house they were going to start building. And she breaks.
Mm-hmm.
She breaks. And I've seen Wanda break several times in the comics, but let me tell you.
That was House of M stuff.
To see it happen in live action and just the red energy burst from her and the house is built and then it bursts forward more, her power explodes and we see the creation of the Hex, letting us know that yes, it was Wanda from the start. It wasn't anybody else manipulating her. It was just her grief, her heartache that exploded out and created this warped reality. And then we learn from Agatha that the reason this is, we thought just her power was telekinesis and little wavy magic and reading her mind. No. The reason she's been able to do all that she can was because her power came from the Mind Stone enhanced what she already had in her. And what she already had in her is chaos magic.
And yet the names at the same time. That's what I said. And me and Shado were talking about this before the podcast started. I said what I loved about this episode was two things. Keep in mind, Scarlet Witch was actually the name that Darcy gave her 2 episodes ago.
Yeah,
it was a Scarlet Witch. And of course now with Agatha saying, "Oh, you have chaos magic," which means that you're a Scarlet Witch. And of course, now we have the moniker. And I was telling Shado, like I said before the podcast started, I was like, can we finally say the 2 M words? Can we finally say magic? And can we finally say mutant? Because mutant was, you couldn't say mutant because Fox still owned X-Men at the time, and they were
the enhanced.
Right, we were enhanced. You couldn't say mutant, you could say enhanced. So now, because Fox is now owned by Disney, because the mouse owns everything, can we now say mutant? And also, that I was going to point out about this episode as well was I'm like, Agatha, I'm sorry, the Mortal Kombat of that, just the whole time they're just sitting there just trying to drain her of life. She just turns around, and I was expecting her to say, I was just waiting for her to go, "Your soul is mine."
It's mine.
And then did that to her own mother, which I thought was interesting. Yep. And of course, the iconic pin that Agatha has. Hang on, Joe, I'm sorry. The Shado outfit is a homage to the Robinson run, which combines her classic look with her modern look. Oh,
yep.
Didn't know that. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
So as far as that goes, and the other thing I noticed about this episode of Previously On, Agatha started to give her lessons in Wiccan, which is witch arts for all those that don't know. She started giving her lessons. She's like, how do you know how to do a probability hex? A what? Yeah. She says, that's how you cut the bomb from going off. And like Shado had pointed out, you can see her, of course, if you watch the episode, reached out, and you can kind of see her, and it's like, and of course, everybody remembers the story from Age of Ultron, as she's sitting there telling Tony Stark, we waited 2 whole days for Tony Stark to kill us, not realizing that Pietro saw the bomb, but didn't see for lack of better words, either didn't say it or didn't see his sister actually try to, use her powers. And at the same time, with the Mind Stone, which I thought was interesting, which kind of says the Mind Stone may be somewhat sentient, considering the powers, considering the way it reacted. And you heard the doctors sit there and say, no one has interacted with the stone and
survived.
So in this case, the stone kind of interacted with her, and of course, we see the silhouette of Scarlet Witch, which again makes us think that does the Mind Stone just reflect what's already there, or it's just, like I said before, enhancing it? So at the same time, that's also cool too. And then again, Agatha's sitting the whole time. She's like, "What is your secret? How is it that you're able to pull off so many?" She's like, "How is it that you're able to pull off so many spells?" She's like, "You took down an entire long distance spells." Oh, you got thunder. You got thunder. That sounds
it was
kind of close. You all right?
Chill out, Thor. Jeez.
But it's just, it's just that there's so many of it that Agatha was like going down memory lane with her, and then of course the real big one was Hayward. Hayward, it's like I said before, why did Hayward have such a hatred against Scarlet Witch, and even more so using the visit to Sword to sit there and say that she broke in and took Vision's body and then didn't.
Yeah,
and then it's just
and
like,
and they actually show us. I'm like, okay, so he's still a dick, but I mean.
Yeah,
you know, he's giving her a chance, I guess.
But then he turns around and tries to say that Wanda actually took the body, when of course he didn't. And then it's just like, of course, like you said, Wanda going back to the property after finding the deed and saying we're gonna live here, and that whole explosion plus her emotion 10 times over literally created.
She created Vision. I was like, what? And then that gives. Because so everyone was asking, well, you know, if Vision's back to life, why is he falling apart outside of the Hex? And now we know.
Yeah, because he can only exist. Because and also what's going to be a tearjerker is the same about her children. The tearjerker is going to be the children because the thing about it is,
I want to talk about this so bad.
From the previous episode, Vision cannot last outside of the field. So if Vision himself cannot last outside of the field. We already know Tommy and Tommy and Billy, Wiccan and Speed Tommy and Billy, Wiccan and Speed are not going to last outside of it. The only person that's really going to last is the citizens and Agatha. But let's be honest, it also comes to the question of how did Agatha get into this place in the first place? Because again, we never do, and I'm guessing that's what the next episode is going to go into is. How did Agatha, either that she was there in Westview at the time, or that she sensed the power of her and still managed to get in, and yet she kept on saying the whole entire time, you can't get in my mind. You can get in everybody else's mind. And she even pointed out, she's like, and she's explaining again, Wiki 101, take a lower power creature in a feeble mind, and you can do whatever you want with it. And she's explaining this, and I'm just thinking to myself, are you helping Wanda, or are you just like still trying to figure this out? But the
she is, yeah.
But the coup de grace of the whole thing, because if you guys haven't noticed about staying on for the credits, there are post-credit scenes.
Yes.
We see an assembled Vision, and you see Hayward sit there and go, "We have tried every power source under the sun. Who knew that we actually had to try her power?" And of course,
the original source.
And of course, decides to use the missile, use the drone that he used. That, of course, Wanda dragged back through the field in episode 6 and tossed it and uses that to power up Vision, which we now have White Vision. So, So again, for all those that don't know, White Vision he's in the West Coast Avengers. He's had his own story to where it was Vision and Ultra Vision, where it's kind of like a mind swap if you think about Superior Spider-Man, where Doc Ock took over Spider-Man's body, and of course vice versa. And Doc Ock was Spider-Man for a year and then realized that Spider-Man could have killed everybody, but he was holding back. The first time he killed somebody, he's like, this fool been holding back the entire time.
Yeah.
So now as we move forward to the final episode at this point for the season, because like I said, I thought Disney would stick with 8. Mandalorian was 8 seasons. Mandalorian was 8 episodes a season. I thought they would stick with 8. I think because, like we talked about a little bit earlier in the podcast, that I think they're going to go ahead and introduce or kickstart, you will, Phase 4. So I think the next episode is going to include a lot of people. I pretty much really do think that. At the same time, I'm not going to say it's the end of Westview as we know it. I think that, we're definitely going to see Photon because Monica is somewhere on the timeline. And we have already seen her release her photon powers because she sat there and looked at Scarlet Witch like, this ain't going to go like last time. You ain't going to send me halfway across town.
Superhero landing. She did a superhero landing.
She kind of. Let's be honest. Monica kind of squared up a little bit, like, "Hey."
Yeah, she did, bro. I loved it.
It's like this ain't gonna go the way you think it's gonna go. Wanda, hold up.
But my biggest hope is that next week is 1 hour episode. That's my biggest hope because there's a lot that has to be answered, a lot that has to be done, and a lot that has to be set up.
Yeah.
So we need an hour-long episode to end out the series, and God, I can't wait. I really can't. Like, this has been a consistent for the last, what is this, 8 weeks now?
Yeah.
Or
and you notice that nobody has complained about action. Everybody like this is on the edge of their seat, wondering the next turn. We still have not seen the astrophysicist. We all know. I still say it's Reed Richards. I still do. I still think that the Fantastic Four entrance is going to be through. I think that, like I said before, the nexus point of all of this is Wanda, to where we might see Reed Richards. If we see John Krasinski as Reed Richards, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be like, yes. Even though Ian Cusack wasn't bad, I blame Sony. I blame Sony for Fantastic Four and Rise of Silver Surfer. I blame them.
Fox.
I'm sorry, was it Fox? I'm sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Fox. But again, Fox, Sony, the only thing y'all ever got right was Venom. And you got Venom right by a little bit. The fact that in Venom you introduced Riot before you introduced anybody else. You introduced Riot of the symbiotes before anybody else. There was not a single red villain that you just couldn't bring up out of nowhere. Just saying. You wait till the end to say Woody Harrelson is gonna be like, oh, he's gonna play Carnage. Where was this dude at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah.
So
no, I agree.
So it's like I just sit there. I'm just like, you know what? It's gonna be all roads going through WandaVision next week. It's gonna be interesting. That's about the way I can put that.
It is. It really is. I'm like, there's a thing I'm gonna say on my channel. The hype is real, and the hype has been real since day one of WandaVision. And now that we're to the end, the hype is even more real, and I can not wait to see what they do.
You and me both. But
can't wait, man.
Yeah, but we're going to actually kind of cap it there because, like I said,
right.
That's really all that we got for this one. Shado, I do want to thank you for being on, man. I certainly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
Joe, thank you and everybody else that commented. Joe, I am going to definitely reach out to you because now I know I can get more people on this. See, the whole point of Git Bit is to bring like-minded individuals together that we can talk about video games. I know I didn't talk much about video games. There really wasn't a lot today aside from Pokemon and Final Fantasy VII. Having an additional episode, which if you're a PS5 owner, if it's a PS5 owner, cool.
Good job.
I'm not a PS5 owner yet.
Me neither.
But I love Final Fantasy VII Remake. I still go back and play it. I'm kind of annoyed that they didn't do the episode for PS4 players, but yeah. There is going to be a lot of mobile games coming out for Final Fantasy as well. Aside from that and Pokemon, there really wasn't a lot of video game news. Not much in the wrestling world because I do talk wrestling, so we look forward to WrestleMania and Ring of Honor's New Japan next year Evolution. So not much there as well. But Shado, I wanted to give you the moment to go ahead and, like I said, you have so much going on that I think the world needs to know about. So where can they find you aside from that link at the bottom that is basically the allmylinks.com/Shado Creative Sin? Is there any other places they can find you?
So you can catch me. You can see my photography. And all my visual effects on Shadow Creatives Entertainment or ENT on IG on Instagram. You can catch that in that link. See my YouTube channel where I talk about, like I said, I got the anime takeover coming, cartoon takeover, visual effects videos, boudoirs, setups, and behind the scenes on my photo shoots. That's all at youtube.com/Shadow Creatives ENT. And then if you want storytelling, if you ever wonder, what would have been Black Panther join the Avengers early, or what if Supergirl was introduced to DCEU early, or even, hey, here's a fan fiction where the entire DCEU is rewritten by me, or the entire Marvel universe is rewritten by me, just to see different areas. You ever wanted to see those in video form, fan fiction video form?
See, that'd be
cool. Boy up. Working on that. That's my on my main channel, Shadowburst Comics, where because it says comics, there is a comic coming. I am working with some of my friends right now to produce that. I'm very excited about that. But for right now, the focus is bringing those what ifs and fan fictions to life using the skills that I learned as a visual effects artist, and telling stories that don't require budget, that don't require actors to leave or get replaced. So I can see Vibe stay as Vibe. I can see Kate Kane stay as Kate Kane, and we can have an entire Arrowverse crisis that might be a little bit closer to the original Crisis and include some of the DCEU stuff. We can have that because there's no money involved.
And there's no legality.
And there's no there's none of that.
The L word. They don't come after the L word.
I can make that happen. That's what I'm going to do because I love the stories we got. Some could have been great. Some were okay and could be better. And not saying that I'm just the best one for the job. I'm not. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to give it a try.
Cool. Well, I just want to point that out because, like I said, I want to show everybody, like I said, not just because COVID-19 has put us in this situation that a lot of people's creativity is coming out. There's always been that creativity, and I've always wanted to sit there and be like, it just needs to be shown. So,
I have time now.
Yeah, so like I said before, I actually put his link in purple because, as you can tell, Shado is very affectionate with purple. So his link is actually above mine. So allmylinks.com/Shado Creative Sit is where you can find his entertainment. Also can be found on Facebook as well. Now, his link below mine in red is the link to all of my shows on Facebook and YouTube. So definitely like, share, and subscribe there. Again, guys, thank you everybody who has watched, who has liked, who has started watch parties. I couldn't get everybody. I tried, but y'all started. I did not know like 5 different watch parties got started on this. So I'm always happy about that because, like I said, it's just building this up because there are a lot of blurred shows out there. Blurs being Black Person and Geeks, but there's not one that's consistently to where what we're doing is covering the whole area. So yeah. Like I said, just go from there. Now, of course, all of my shows, my schedule hasn't changed that much. Of course, How the Frack We Got Here is every Wednesday from 8 to 10. Of course, that's the midweek edition. The weekend edition will be tomorrow, Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon. And, of course, my Off Limits podcast will be later on that Saturday night between 8 and 10 p.m. And, of course, Get Bit as you see it now is still 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Hopefully, next time I'll be able to get this set up again to where I can have Shado and Joe on here. Because, like I said, the more voices about this I want to have, especially Vaughn. Let me not forget Vaughn, who also started a watch party, Big BZA Dot on Facebook, who has his own show. So definitely like and check him out as well, because he is a fan of movies. I call him the king of weird trailers. If you've heard me do promos on Vaughn, I call him the king of weird trailers because some movies he finds are interesting. Some movies make me go, how are we friends? But I love him to death because he definitely does bring a lot more to the table. I hope because he's like in your case, busy guys. I hope one Friday night I can get him on here with us just because he can definitely add more of this anyway. But beyond that, guys, like I said, the last thing I'll get out of here before I say this, COVID-19 is real. Please wear a mask. Please avoid large crowds. Please go out only if you have to. If you're getting vaccinated, cool. You know, like I said before, we can all do things to where we can adjust the cases. And also, if you're a nurse, because I've had nurses and doctors watch this show, which I guess is cool. So nurses, doctors, nurses aid, doctors aid, those that work environmental services, definitely thank you for all that you do. And if you do see someone of the nursing or doctors professions, give them a thank you too, because they don't really get a lot for what they do. And they have been MVPs this entire time. And also, shout out to essential people. I hate saying essential worker. Essential worker sounds so effing corporate. I believe it's people, because without people, we wouldn't be doing this. So exactly. I'm talking about all those folks that work in gas stations, grocery stores, those that work as first responders, those that work as educators, because right now you guys get a lot of flack. Those that are truck drivers, those that work in warehouses like Amazon, those that work in logistics like United States Postal Service, UPS, DHL, FedEx, and all those other areas. Thank you for all that you do, because for a lot of us, we have the luxury of working from home, but a lot of us don't have that luxury. And thank you guys for making sure that you stay safe while keeping the lights on for the rest of us. So definitely do for that. Joe, you work in a hospital, dude. Much respect, man.
Shout out to Joe.
You much respect, man, because like I said, the fact of all that you're doing, man, much respect to that. And like I said, Joe, I hope I can bring you on with Shado. I'm going to just cross my fingers to say next week, but it just depends on how schedules work out. I understand. But we will get everybody together because, like I said, I live for these type of convos. It's the reason why video games and anime and cartoons and comics and cosplay is all near and dear to my heart, because it brings me joy. And I see for Shadows, as he's holding Stormbreaker, it brings him joy. So, like I said, hopefully we'll get everybody together. And like I said, if you like the show, please let me know. If you didn't like the show, please let me know. Snyder fanboys let me know all the time they don't like my show, but they still watch. So, thank you. But beyond that, guys, that's really all that we have for this. Shado, any last words before we call it a night?
For Midgard!
With the mid-card. Oh yeah, Joe, I did get your friend request, man. I'm gonna get to it right after we get through our podcast. But aside from Shado about to go for Asgard off the rip. Aside from that, guys, thank you all for watching. I've been Will. That's been Shado. This has been Git Bit. If you're watching this on the playback, please comment as if it's live. I still want to know your thoughts on everything we talked about. We are out.